It's the big one, it's the Ashes.
That is sublime.
At such an iconic test ground, it's really exciting.
The blast at Trent Bridge is so much more than cricket. But what is it? It's not about laws. It's about high scores. Stumps uprooted. The tunes. The roars. Forget the history. We make the history. It's not about afternoon tea. That's a bit of me. So forget the jargon, follow the marching, rumbling, beating heart of a city as it crosses the bridge from the old to the bold. Because we're not gentlemen, you see, we're outlaws. The blast at Trent Bridge, more than a game.
Good afternoon everybody and a warm welcome to Trent Bridge Live for some more Vitality Blast action. What a day we've had here at Trent Bridge. It's a double-header day, and if you joined us earlier on the Blaze channel, then you will see that they were victorious and they head straight to the final in the Charlotte Edwards Trophy. Congratulations to all the Blaze. That takes place next Saturday. But now it's all about Outlaws versus Lightning. As you can see to my right-hand side, we have, well, the one and only Luke Fletcher. Fletch, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, what a day for sport, for cricket. It's perfect, isn't it? We've not been blessed with the weather this year, but this is absolutely brilliant.
The crowd are filling in. There's quite a few already been here all day, but the sun's out. If you can't get up for T20 cricket on a day like this, well, you know, you don't deserve to play, do you?
Well, I mean, all the players will be buzzing. Granted, it's the third game on the bounce, which is tough. We have to respect the fact that the players will be feeling a bit tired. But like you said, weather's out. There's a lot of people in the ground. £10 a ticket. It's a Sunday afternoon. Let's finish this block of 3 games with another win, and that'll be brilliant. They'll be happy with that.
Have you told the lads that? Have you just done the pre?
No, I feel like I should go and do that team talk now.
I mean, I'm energised and I'm not even playing.
There you go. Let's rev it up.
Obviously the lads will be in a buoyant mood after yesterday's victory against the Birmingham Bears at Edgbaston. Just how much of a lift will that give the boys?
Massive. I mean, Edgbaston's a tough place to go and play, and I know Birmingham Bears have been in top form this season, so it's sort of one of them games you think, listen, if we get an opportunity, hopefully we take it, but if we don't win, then listen, they're a strong side, you know what I mean? But actually coming away from there, it changes momentum for us. We've got Lancashire here today, who started again like the Birmingham Bears in good form, but they've lost the last couple of games, I think, against Durham and somebody at Yorkshire. In the Roses game. So listen, if we win tonight as well, it puts us right back in it, and it could go as close to third or fourth. So it's all to play for really in this comp still.
You've been doing your research, haven't you?
I watch cricket, yeah. I watch it. I've got nothing else to do with this ankle. It'd be nice in the ankle and watching cricket.
We'll talk about that very, very shortly. But just to inform you that the toss obviously has taken place already. Lancashire won that toss and they have elected to have a bat. So it will be the Outlaws that are fielding and they will have a target to chase down. But let's just inform you of the Outlaws selected 11 for this fixture. He was 89 not out and off 53 balls last night. He wears number 33, it is Joe Clark. He carried his bat here a couple of years ago and got to 100. He likes the lightning, it is Alex Hales. What a performance from this man last night against the Birmingham Bears. 87 of 43 balls, it's Colin Munro. He's been an ever-present this season in the campaign of the T20. He wears number 14, he's Matthew Montgomery. He's moved up the order in the last couple of games. It is Mr. Knox when it comes to T20. He's buzzing for this one, it's Samit Patel. Tom Moores takes the wickets, he takes the gloves. It is Tom Moores. Okay, our apologies there. We've got a few gremlins in the system, so that is the wrong team. I'll just go through the team, Fletch. So I have it here, it is the right team. I can assure everybody at home. Joe Clark, Alex Hales, Colin Munro, Matthew Montgomery, Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney, the captain, Tom Moores, Shaheen Afridi, Calvin Harrison, Matt Carter and the birthday boy Jack Brooks. Now Jack Brooks has asked me to say there, not to reveal his age, but just say he's ageing like a fine wine.
He's a fine one. He's a fine bloke, and he's been a fine bowler for a long time. So. Well,
this is his second outing for the Outlaws. He took 4 wickets here a couple of games ago, so he'll be looking forward to obviously coming out here, taking some more wickets. Just to let you know that obviously the only change from last night is Jake Ball. He's on obviously a scheduled recovery plan from his injury. You'll know all about that.
Yeah.
But what a performance by some of the players last night against Birmingham Bears.
Yeah, it's sensational. I mean, in for Ball, Jake Ball. Let's talk about Jake. You just mentioned him coming back after not playing for such a long period of time. The nerves are always there, but it just amplifies, especially you got a bowl at the likes of Moeen Ali, Glenn Maxwell in the power play, and I thought he played really well. I mean, his variations were brilliant, his slower balls are coming out well, he was nailing his Yorkers at the end, so I mean, we've missed Jake Ball, there's no doubt about that, and we missed a few more as well, but it's great to have him back playing.
Let's talk about Joe Clark and Colin Munro. A fantastic partnership last night, as I just mentioned there. Joe Clark 89, carried his bat through off 53 balls. Colin Munro 87 off 43 balls. I was talking to you earlier and you said that both of them have just got that in their locker, haven't they? And they showed it last night.
Well, it was an interesting start, you know, watching it on the TV, on the live stream, which was brilliantly done by yourself and Kirsty Lord. You watched the first 2 or 3 overs, you thought it was a pretty tricky wicket. You know, the ball was stopping in the pitch a bit and it was taken to the slower balls. And then all of a sudden, like a light switch, Colin started banging it. Joe was a bit later on, but I mean, once Colin gets going, it's very tough to stop. Hits the ball so well, so hard both sides of the wicket. And also, like Joe Clark, we know all about Joe Clark, but he's a bowler's nightmare, an absolute nightmare, especially at a place like Edgbaston. There's a small boundary one side, so as a bowler, you're trying to keep the ball away from that. And sometimes it gets a bit too obvious what you're trying to do. But them two are quality players, they've got loads of experience, and hopefully they can carry some of that form from yesterday here to Trent Bridge.
It's a big game today. If we just take a look at the table in the North Group, Obviously Lancashire and the Outlaws on both the same amount of points, 8 points. But if you look at their net run rate, Fletch, you know, Outlaws minus 0.279, Lancashire 0.269 on the plus side, can make a massive difference on how this game goes.
It does, late on in the competition, absolutely. But what I would say to that is, you're only 1 or 2 good games away from that just ramping straight up. But it is good to always look at the net run rate, especially later on. It's a bit like the football season, you know. You look at your goals conceded towards the end, which as a Forest fan we were thinking, oh my God, I hope that doesn't cost us a point. But it does, it plays such a big part, not so much now, but more towards the end of the comp.
Let's talk about the pitch. Obviously Lancashire won the toss, they've chosen to have a bat. I believe, if my information is correct, it's the 3rd time that this pitch has been used. Do you think that will have played a part in it, and how will that maybe affect? Moore said that he would have had a bat as well, but he wasn't too fussed. But should we look out for anything in particular?
Genuinely, you think the pitch is deteriorating and it'd be best to, bat first and then bowl second, because we hope it breaks up and it's harder to hit the ball. But I just had a look at that pitch and I think it's held together quite nicely. The sun's out, the outfield will be rapid. We'll know a lot more obviously when the game starts, but I don't think it's too disappointing that we're chasing. I don't think it's going to deteriorate that much, and I think it's a great pitch. As we saw, Worcestershire posted a big score the other night. I know we didn't quite get there, but we still put a decent score on the board. So my gut feel, having looked at that pitch, I think it'll be fine.
Now, you've been in that dressing room for many years now. We've chased, we've set targets, etc. Like you've just said, you know, we were chasing against the Rapids, we didn't get over the line. Does that really faze the boys? Does it faze you? Or, you know, will they just be happy that they know what they've got to go out there? Big crowd, sun shining, up from last night, really up for this game today.
Well, I suppose the benefits of chasing is you know the conditions, you know. So our batters, your Hales, your Clarks, your top order batters will all be watching, and they'll be speaking to the fast bowlers.
Always studying, aren't they?
They'll be studying. They'll be saying, listen, what's working? Are your slow balls gripping? Are they sliding onto the pitch? Is there pace in the middle of the wicket? Whatever it is. So they'll be communicating, and I suppose that is the benefit to chasing. You have more of an idea of what's actually happening.
Let's just talk briefly about Lancashire Lightning. As you say, they started off really well in the competition, had a couple of losses especially against the Yorkshire Vikings. Never nice to lose that one. They're strong up top, aren't they? There's batting form. We've got to take wickets early in the power play.
They are very strong. At times it can be an intimidating side to play against. They've got some power hitters, but listen, so is everyone in this competition, and everyone can beat everyone. You see, Derbyshire beat Warwickshire the other day. Sorry, Birmingham Bears. I keep saying Warwickshire. Birmingham Bears.
You're not the only one.
Yorkshire beat Lancashire. You wouldn't have said that with Yorkshire. They look a bit light from senior players. They've got some younger players coming through. So anyone can beat anyone, but like you said, early wickets is the key, always in this power play. You get them 2 or 3 down, the stats will back you up that you say you're going to win most games. 3 down in the power play, you got an 80-85% chance of winning the game.
We're going to catch up with you at the interval break as well, but just very briefly, as they're coming out the steps, they'll be lining up in the pavilion now. Nerves, energy, excitement, mixture, isn't it, really?
The lot. I think more excitement. There'll be a few nerves there, but there's lads there who played a lot of cricket. They'll be looking around at the crowd, seeing how many people are in, buzzing from the situation. The sun's out. They know it's a big game against Lancashire, and ready to go, ready for the challenge. Hopefully.
Up for it, aren't we, mate?
I'm buzzing for it.
All right.
I wish I was playing.
You
but I'm buzzing
enjoy
for
the game.
it.
You enjoy the game. We'll catch you with Fletcher at the halfway point, but let's hand over to your commentary team.
By 11 runs to get a much needed victory. This afternoon they entertain Lancashire here at Trent Bridge, bathed in warm sunshine. Many of the crowd have actually been here a few hours already to see the women's team, the Blaze, keep up their unbeaten record in the Charlotte Edwards Cup with a comprehensive win over the Sunrisers. That's a win which books their place in the final. As for Notts, victory today would lift them into the top 4 of the T20 Blast North Group, that 4th place currently occupied by their opponents Lancashire. Now last night we left Edgbaston with injury doubts hanging over openers Joe Clark and Alex Hales, neither of whom fielded very much as Notts were going for that victory against Birmingham last night. Dave Bracegirdle is going to kick off commentary alongside, when she's able to join us, having just played, victorious Blaze bowler Grace Ballinger. But first of all, Dave, how does that all-important team news look?
Joe Clark and Alex Hales both play. Understand fatigue has played a large part in the Nottinghamshire preparations for this game. There is just one change. Jack Brooks comes in for Jake Ball. It's not fatigue with Jake, unfortunately. He's not feeling too well today. He pulled up okay, having played his first game of the season last night, but this morning woke up not feeling too well. So Jack Brooks, on his 39th birthday, gets another opportunity to bowl for Notts on his short-term loan from Somerset. Remember, he got 4 wickets, but quite expensive was Brooks. 4 overs for 51 against Yorkshire in the middle of the week. So let's see how he goes today. So otherwise, Notts are unchanged. Joe Clark, Alex Hales, Colin Munro, what an innings that was last night. Matthew Montgomery, Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney, Tom Moores, Shaheen Shah Afridi, who's playing his 150th Blast game, his 7th for Notts. Calvin Harrison keeps his place, no real surprise there. Everybody's delighted, I think, to see the leg spinner back in action for Notts, and thought he had a very good game last night, both with the ball and in the field. And Matt Carter and Jack Brooks. News from the toss: Liam Livingston, who leads this powerful Lancashire lineup, won the toss and has opted to bat first. So Notts back to what they actually prefer to do, and that's to chase. But after last night, I think a lot of their supporters were a little relieved, a little pleased, obviously delighted at the outcome, but they were pleased to see Notts bat first. No scoreboard pressure, go out there, play with an element of freedom, put 200 on the board, and they'll certainly be hoping that they can restrict Lancashire here. Lancashire, some names you'll be very familiar with. Josh Butler opening the batting out there, he's back from the IPL, as is Phil Salt. Liam Livingston, the skipper, another one. There's some powerhouses and a couple of former Notts players as well. Luke Wood and Jack Blatherwick gets a all too rare game for Lancashire. We'll give you the rest of the lineup as we go along, but it is going to be Shaheen Shah Afridi to get us underway, Colin, and you'd imagine, having watched the women's game, there's going to be a lot of runs in this.
Yeah, you would think so. Shaheen Shah Afridi, though, will be trying to stem that flow early, won't he? Bowled well yesterday, didn't he? 3 wickets for him. First time multiple wickets, so he'll be looking to continue where he left off. It doesn't seem very long ago at all, does it, that we were finishing that game at Edgbaston last night.
He's Notts' leading wicket taker in the competition, 8 wickets so far. Last night his figures are 3 for 39, certainly his standout ones. He's going to be bowling to Phil Salt, the Lancashire keeper, former Sussex man, who drives into the offside and away for 4, and that just out of the reach of Samit Patel. Flung himself to his right and away for 4. Didn't get a fingernail on it, but on another day, Colin, that might just have gone straight to the fielder.
That was very, very close. That's Phil Salt, obviously looking to make a quick impression, a quick start on the match, and well, he did not miss Samit Patel by much. That was probably a ball's width away from his fingertips.
That was almost an Ilkay Gundogan start to the match. That would have been inside 13 seconds had Patel been able to catch it. Afridi bowls. Salt will guide this into the offside, take a single, 5 without loss. If you're with us last night and you were just mulling over something that Colin and I were as well, we hadn't lost our marbles. Just briefly, if you weren't with us, I'll tell you what happened. 1 ball to go in the Notts innings, 212 for 3. Joe Clark punched the ball down the ground. Wasn't going to run at first, he thought he'd gone for 4. It was stopped on the boundary. In came the return. They only ran 1. The scorers gave 2. That took Joe Clark from 87 not out to 89 not out. So Notts finishing on 214 for 3. Come back to that in a second, because Josh Butler's quickly taken guard. Afridi bowls to him and lets it go through to Notts wicket-keeper Tom Moores. The other BBC commentary team that were there last night, BBC Coventry and Warwickshire, we spoke to them at the end of the match. They too felt it was only 213 for 3. It wasn't changed at all during the evening. We thought somebody will pick up on it. So this morning I made one or two calls to the right people who followed it up. I watched the live stream, the last over, carefully documenting everything that happened, and everybody's very much in agreement. It should have been 213 for 3. Emphasis 213. Here's Afridi into Butler. This one down the leg side. It's well taken by Tom Moores, but it is going to be a wide. And again, Notts, as per last night, indeed most of the matches so far, guilty of getting off to an ill-disciplined start by bowling more balls in and over than they need to. Leg side wide from Afridi makes it 6 without loss. To cut a long story short, it should have been 213 for 3, but as the match has now finished, they can't change it apparently. So Joe Clark's got the easiest run he'll ever get in his career. Should have been 88 not out, finished 89 not out. Here's Afridi as we concentrate on this one. Bowls to Butler, and he guides it out onto the leg side. And there's Colin Munro. And there is one more to the total, 7 without loss. Why does, and I know you're going to say, why are you asking me, Dave, but you know, I'm just sort of putting out there a rhetorical question. Why does one of the world's best bowlers in this format bowl so many leg side wides?
Strange, isn't it? Is it because the odds are stacked against bowlers so much in this format?
There is Afridi, comes in and bowls another leg side wide, and Tom Moores does very well to prevent it going for 5 leg side wides. As it was, he parried it, and they take another run, so a couple to the total there, and this is going to be, well, at the very best for Notts, an 8 ball over, and it's 9 without loss.
By which I mean that they're so, they have to be so precise in exactly where they're trying to bowl it. It doesn't take a lot to go right. That worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
I can't explain it.
There's Afridi. In again, bowls. Oh, this is dragged onto the leg side by Butler. He certainly didn't mean it to go there. Gets a single, 10 without loss.
I think what I'm trying to say is they're under so much pressure, aren't they, the bowlers, right? With every ball they bowl, because it's such a batsman's game.
Small margins for error.
Yeah,
and all that.
I think that's right. But you would still think bowlers of the calibre of the people that we're watching at the moment would be able to avoid those wides.
And he bowls very, very quickly. It doesn't take too long to get down to the other end. There he comes in again and bowls, eased into the offside. There's no run there. A couple of dots to finish, which means only 10 came from the over, but I don't know, it's an 8 ball over. Just need to cut that out of Notts' game. I mean, just mentioned it, small margins. You just save a couple of runs here, there and everywhere, and you know you can be chasing 190 instead of 215 or 220. 10 without loss at the end of the first, bowled by Afridi. If you're just joining us, welcome to Trent Bridge. Another lovely sunny afternoon. What glorious weather we've had as Notts. I mentioned fatigue. They're playing their 3rd game in 3 days, and I know people will say, well, it's only 4 overs for the bowlers and it's only a 3-hour contest, but they finished late on Friday evening and then drove to Birmingham last night, and everything that entailed. There was a lot of hanging about yesterday waiting for the women's match to finish before they could get out there and do what they wanted to do, practice and then play the game. A lot of emotion involved in the game. It was fairly dramatic. Samit Patel from the pavilion end bowls, and this is sliced away on the offside. It'll clear Joe Clark and run away towards the Smith Cooper stand for 4. So an indifferent start for Samit Patel. Not really that he should be blamed, because he very nearly got a wicket there. It was definitely a false shot from Butler.
And it didn't miss Joe Clark by very much, did it? A couple of things to note. One is that Joe Clark seemed to be moving okay when he sprinted after that. And the other is that Samit Patel has come on a little bit earlier. This is the...
Patel bowls, Butler just bunts it down the ground to long on for a single, 15 without loss.
It's the Matt Carter roll this second over has been, isn't it? Previously.
Samit Patel and Trent Bridge, it's a match made in heaven, or a match made in Nottingham. It's going to be bowling to Phil Salt. There's only Shakib Al Hassan at the Mirpur ground in Bangladesh. You're probably aware of the great Bangladeshi all-rounder Shakib as Patel bowls. This is again bunted down the ground for a single. There's only Shakib Al Hassan taken more wickets on one particular ground than Samit Patel has taken here at Trent Bridge. 125 wickets he's taken here. 16 without loss. Joss Butler 7, Phil Salt 6. Butler on strike again. He's going to pull this away for 4. Just too short from Samit, and Butler doesn't miss the opportunity to pull this away. He's played some dynamic innings here in the past for county and indeed country. You think back to all the way to 2010, a quarter-final here that Notts seemed to be inching their way, 2011 seemed to be inching their way towards finals day. And Butler came in for Somerset and played a swashbuckling quick-fire 60-odd. This one is just deflected, nice and fine. Matt Carter will do the fielding. 21 without loss. Carter went for 57 runs last night. The joint third highest amount of runs conceded by a Notts bowler in this competition.
Got some real firepower, Lancashire, haven't they?
They have indeed.
Look down their order.
Patel bowls and Phil Salt, who under normal circumstances you'd say he's probably the one of the most dangerous. He takes a single here, so another decent over for the Red Rose. 22 without loss. Samit Patel's over going for 12, and Lancashire have started 11 and over.
Yeah, going very well in their red strip. The pads and the helmets stand out a little bit more. I'd say they would kind of red rose colour, the pads and the helmets, and the rest of the kit's just a little bit darker red than that, isn't it? Which pretty much matches Notts caps today. I know they've announced a sponsorship deal today. I think that those burgundy, almost red burgundy caps that Notts are wearing is part of that. And Jack Brooks to come on.
Yeah, it's going to be the birthday boy. 39 years of age today. Not quite the oldest to play for Notts in this competition. I think both Peter Trigo and Chris Nash were a little older. Both played in recent times. So Brooks bowls. This one slapped away into the leg side for a single. Out to Joe Clark in front of the William Clark stand. 23 without loss. Luke Fletcher on the ground today. Good to see Luke. He's actually walking. It's the first time I've seen him walking since his ankle surgery without crutches. So small steps, literally, in every sense, but can do away with the crutches now. Hope to see him back soon. Next one is just scooped down the leg side. Beautifully played by Butler. Textbook Butler shot. And away for 4 down towards the pavilion fence. Just moved across his stumps, and the bounce of the ball from Brooks just nicely into his arc, deflected it away. 27 without loss. Butler on 16. This is going to be a high scoring contest, folks. There's just going to be who's got the bigger firepower. Jack Brooks in once more. Bowls hit back to him and does well to stop it. Just for a second there, just wondered if it was on the fall, but not quite. Played into the ground by Butler, who's got 16. Good win for the Blaze earlier. The women's Trent Bridge base side. Next one is punched towards the long on. That's a good stop by Alex Hales diving. Neither Hales nor Clark fielded last night. Understand with both it's just little bits of niggles, and you can see there he's sort of got up holding that left side.
He didn't look comfortable at all there, did he, Alex Hales? It was a good stop, but not comfortable getting up.
And comes Brooks, bowls. Oh, that's so lucky for Salt. He's got 4 runs. He's snicked it through where second slip would be. And of course, there isn't a second slip, and that's a fortunate boundary. They've ridden their luck a little bit. They're fine players, and they'll take their chances. But the very first ball of the match that Salt hit wasn't too far away from Samit Patel. It was in the air. There's been 1 or 2 others, including that one, that have certainly been false shots. On another day, maybe not. We've got 2 or 3 weeks, but it's 32 without loss. 1 ball left in the third here on BBC Radio Nottingham as Brooks bowls slapped into the offside, and there's no run. Fielded by Harrison, and Jack Brooks again has gone for 10, or also has gone for 10, the same as Shafridi in the first over. Shafridi, I might call him that.
Maybe we should start calling him that. It's a bit easier, isn't it?
32 after 3. Remember, initial 6 overs are with fielding restrictions. Notts can only have 2 fielders outside the ring.
You're right about Lancashire riding their luck a bit. I guess what you'd say about them is that what they're doing is they're hitting everything hard. He got a genuine edge on that last one, didn't he? But it was a big flourish of the bat, and got the edge, but it took it wide enough of the wicket keeper, went all the way down for 4. Here's Matt Carter then, a couple of overs later than usual.
Big tall right arm off spinner, bowls dragged away on the leg side. It'll be fielded by Matthew Montgomery. Keeps them to 1. Good work from Montgomery. Takes Butler on to 18. Speaking of Nottinghamshire off spinners, Graham Swan's on the ground today, and his brother Alec is actually the match referee, but I know Graham's here today. I only know that because Mick Neal told me, but there we are. Thanks, Mick. Next one's cut into the offside, will be caught. It's caught! Carter's got a wicket. Salt drives into the offside, and Stephen Mullaney, who spilled 2 at Old Trafford, pouched this one down by his ankles, and Salt has to go, and there is the breakthrough. Matt Carter went for runs last night. He's got a wicket early on today, an important one. Phil Salt is out, and Lancashire are 33 for 1.
As always in T20, important to get that first breakthrough, important to break up the opening partnership, and especially if you can do it during the power play overs as well. It always just gives the batting side a little bit of a setback. That was safely pouched. It was travelling again, because again it was well struck, but Mullaney didn't really have to move very much, and always looked favourite to take the catch. Did so safely, and the first one back in the hutch for Notts. Phil Salt trudging back towards the dugout underneath the big Batman scoreboard at the pavilion end of the ground, and Stephen Croft is the new batsman.
Yes, he's had a run of fairly consistent scores this season without getting a big one, says he. Well aware of what he's saying. His top score 46 not out against Leicestershire Foxes. Only made 6 at Old Trafford against Notts, but otherwise his last 3 have been 22, 22 and 34. Croft is on strike now. Man of Blackpool works this on the leg side. We'll just get a single, fielded by Harrison. I mentioned that I'd had a brief look at the highlights this morning. Just 1 or 2 things I wanted to focus in on, and one of them was that Matthew Montgomery catch off Dan Mousley, where he ran in from the fence, threw himself forward and took a wonderful catch. Carter in, and Butler goes to pull this down the leg side and missed it. All angles that we could see on the live stream suggests that it was superbly judged by Montgomery. It was a clean catch, a wonderful catch, although Mousley at the time wasn't convinced. He hung about and had to be sent by the umpires. Single taken to Butler, out to that man I was talking about, Matthew Montgomery, away to our left in front of the Fox Road stand. It's not a full Fox Road stand, which I'm guessing the club will be a little disappointed about. They've been marketing this one to the hilt. Down the leg side, an appeal from Tom Moores, not given, but it's another precious dot, and after 4 overs Lancashire Lightning are 35 for 1. Matt Carter 1 over, 1 for 3. That's better.
Yeah, that's very good bowling from Matt Carter. As you say, it was very expensive last night at Birmingham, up against the likes of Sam Hain, who crushed that 97. 0 for 57 for Carter last night, but that's a very good start. That's the best over that Notts have had so far. Got the wicket, of course, but only 3 runs from it as well. 35 for 1, and Shaheen Shah Afridi back into the attack.
Overall T20 meetings between these sides, Notts with the advantage, 15 wins to Lancashire's 12, and there was a match a couple of years ago that finished in a tie at Old Trafford. There's Afridi. It's ball to Butler, who's on 19. He's got a start. He's lifted this one up in the air. Again, that could have gone straight to the fielder, but it's landed between Mullaney and Montgomery. Stephen Mullaney will chase it down. Former Lancashire player, of course, briefly played at the start of his career, played 3 T20 matches in his time for Lancashire, played over 170 now for Notts. And the captain was pretty close there to being in a position to pouch his second catch of the evening. Afridi, 3 wickets last night, should have had 4. Samet, unusually for him, dropped an absolute dolly. 38 for 1. Afridi in again. Croft guides it into the offside to Montgomery, who's been brought in there nice and tight to save the single, and does just that. Here at Trent Bridge, Lancashire won last year. I don't know if you sort of back horses for courses. Lancashire won here last year, but the previous 10 matches here were all won by Notts. Now that is a sequence. 10 matches in a row Notts won here against the Red Rose, but Lancashire triumphed last year. Time for Notts again, maybe. Afridi bowls, cut away, tries to cut it away, Croft. In fact, he's dragged it to Hales, who fires it down towards Tom Moore's end and actually hits the stumps, and that's a dangerous thing to do because that can very often ricochet away and go for overthrows. He didn't mean to do it, of course. You try and get it in towards the keeper as accurately as you can, but it crashed into the stumps, and again on another day that could have run away for overthrows.
As it was, the stump I think went further than the ball,
Yeah,
didn't it?
yeah.
Careering out the ground.
39 for 1, halfway through the 5th over. Josh Butler on strike. Right now he's the one they want. As Afridi bowls, Butler, a little push and run. He judged that nicely, did Butler. Took the weight off it, even though Montgomery on the 30-yard discs was walking in with the bowler. There wasn't a lot of weight on that gentle push.
But quick from Afridi, that, didn't it?
Yeah. Get Butler out, get Livingston out, get Croft out. They've still got Daryl Mitchell, who made 85 not out at Old Trafford last week, and Colin de Grandhomme, and Rob Jones and the rest. Afridi bowls now. Another push now, then there's a chance to shy at the stump, surely, and Montgomery narrowly misses. It's usually the way, isn't it, when there is a genuine chance to throw the stumps down, albeit from about 35 yards there, Montgomery. You don't hit, but had he been a little more accurate, I think that would have been the end of Josh Butler.
He tried to take as much time, I think, as he could, didn't he, in lining it up, which wasn't a lot, because Butler was herring down to that end.
Nice to set yourself. There's Afridi. Bowls now, and he's bowled him! Butler goes! Afridi stands there like the angel of the north with his arms spread out wide, just inviting the Trent Bridge crowd just to bow almost at his presence. That was magnificent from Afridi. That is what Shaheen Shah Afridi's all about. Textbook Yorker, and Butler has gone. The big fish is bowled by the even bigger fish on the occasion. 41 for 2 and Butler out for 23. What a ball that was from Afridi, and Josh Butler, good a player as he is, just couldn't do anything about that. Terrific stuff from Afridi, who gets his 9th wicket of the competition, and that's certainly the most spectacular. Boom, 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 Afridi. Absolutely wonderful.
That's a great ball. Absolutely fantastic ball. That's top quality bowling, isn't it, from a top quality bowler? You just sense that, we said it last night, didn't we, at Edgbaston, that he was really getting into things, and he was bouncing around the field, and he looked like he was really enjoying himself, and got his 3 wickets last night, and now he delivers that today. I mean, that's a terrific ball.
That's perhaps why he bowls these leg side wides, because he is looking for that one, he's searching for that one, and I tell you, I take it all back. I'll take 2 leg side wides if you can deliver one of those. 41 for 2. It doesn't get any easier for Notts, because Liam Livingston's on his way to the middle. Crashed a big 100 here against Afridi and his Pakistan side a couple of years ago. Let's hope he's not around for long. Let's see if Colin Frey can improve on a situation of 41 for 2 as he talks you through the next few overs.
See what I can do. Here's Carter, who got the other wicket, bowled in! Carter gets another one, and Croft is gone. He tried to go down to sweep Matt Carter, and the middle stump is rocked back, not quite out of the ground, but sticking out at a very awkward angle. And it's 2 in 2 balls, 1 for Afridi with that terrific Yorker to account for Josh Butler. And now Stephen Croft is gone for 3. And this is turning into an outstanding start from Nottinghamshire. Carter gets his 2nd wicket, and Lancashire, with a ball gone in the 6th over, I beg your pardon, are 41 for 3. And Carter has 2 for 3 from his 7 balls so far. And another new batsman is out. It is another danger man, Daryl Mitchell. So Notts have done some real damage, but that's put Livingston and Mitchell together at the crease.
Yep.
So plenty more work for Notts to do. But well bowled, Matt Carter. 2 for 3, 7 balls. And Notts have 2 in 2.
Just all turned on its head in a matter of, well, 2 overs, isn't it?
Space of couple of overs, couple of balls, and Lancashire now very much on the back foot. Here's Carter again, and he's beaten Mitchell, who's well forward defensively, and it just goes through to the wicket keeper as Carter has the ball in his hand again. It's Mitchell on strike, and he's come down a couple of paces this time before dabbing it out onto the offside. Good afternoon to Grace Ballinger. And
Good
well
afternoon.
done.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Great win earlier.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Comprehensive win and straight through to the final.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've gone 6 from 6, so straight through to the final on Saturday at New Road. Exciting stuff.
Here's Matt Carter into bowl to Mitchell again, and again it's not quite read that. Good bowling from Carter. It's another dot ball as it's just dabbed out onto the offside. Munro races into field. He's had 7 dot balls from 10 balls that he's delivered so far. 2 for 3 remain his figures, and he's that's now been rather ruined as this is hit hard down the ground and high by Mitchell. 1 bounce 4 into the dugouts over long off, and Mitchell just starting to open his shoulders a little bit. But Lancashire very much behind the 8 ball here. 1 ball to come in the power play. 45 for 3 with Salt, Butler and Croft back in the pavilion, and this is another dot ball as it's nudged back to the bowler, and that is the end of 6 overs, and it is 45 for 3. As Grace Ballinger is here, have you been able to see much of this so far, or have you just been getting changed and celebrating in the dressing room over there?
I'm going to be honest, I've been running all round the ground trying to sort all sorts out. I've just got my phone back.
This is hammered down the ground. Actually, there was a ball left. I thought that was the end of the over, but they bowled another one, and it's costly for Notts because Mitchell has hammered it down the ground for another 4 in front of the pavilion. So 49 for 3. I'm sure the scoreboard said that was over. But 49 for 3 at the end of 6. We were saying, Dave and I, just before you arrived, Grace, what a powerful looking batting lineup Lancashire have got, but Notts have made a very good start here.
No, yeah, it seems that way, and obviously they've got the real strength in the opening pair of Phil Salt and Josh Butler, but to have those back in the shed early is just absolutely massive for Notts, and they'll be pretty confident coming in here. I would say that's a massive win for them in the power play.
Yeah, 49 for 3 then the power play ends, and Calvin Harrison is coming on to bowl. Already seen Matt Carter and Samit Patel involved in the attack. And more pace off the ball here with Calvin Harrison. And he's going to bowl the first ball to Livingston. Very quiet around Trent Bridge as Livingston is on the back foot to defend this down the pitch. Dave was mentioning the crowd a little bit earlier, not by any means the biggest that we've seen for a Trent Bridge T20 encounter. Here's Harrison again, and this is nudged up towards long on. Colin Munro will run in to do the fielding. Plenty of empty white seats in the Fox Road stand. That's perhaps the most surprising. The Smith Cooper stand tends to have a few more empty seats because it's in the shade. A sunny day like today, Fox Road is quite often pretty full, and the Larwood and Vos stand as well has got some empty seats. Hound Road looks pretty full. So does the pavilion. As Harrison is in again to bowl to Mitchell, turns this away out towards mid-wicket, and Joe Clark runs in from the boundary to field, and it's 51 for 3. Quiet over so far. Calvin Harrison will be trying to keep it that way. Halfway through the 7th, in comes Harrison again. Couple of paces down the pitch. Liam Livingston plays it towards deep backward square, fielded by Samit Patel, and a single. And Harrison just trotting away from us again, and a sweep attempted this time from Mitchell, down on one knee, and again it's round to deep backward square, and Samit Patel does the fielding again. Last ball, well, I thought it was the last ball last over. I mean, the scoreboard says 6.5, so I'm assuming this is the last ball. 53 for 3, and this is again played onto the onside. They're going to look to run a quick 2 here, and they have done round 2. Joe Clark, who's almost round from the mid-wicket boundary, almost round to square leg by the time he fields, but that's a decent over for Notts. 6 coming off it, very quiet. First over out of the power play, 55 for 3. Good start, Calvin Harrison.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Calvin Harrison in the side. Obviously didn't start in the Notts 11 at the start of the blast, but yeah, he's bowled a very helpful over there. Never easy for a leg spinner to be economical, but no, he's done well, and he did well when he came in yesterday as well against the Bears.
And the figure that we often see coming into the attack at this stage in a T20, Stephen Mullaney now has the ball in his hand at the far end, at the pavilion end. Mitchell taking strike, he's got 10, Livingston has 4. You're listening to BBC Radio Nottingham on our FM frequencies as Stephen Mullaney comes in to bowl to Mitchell. Good length delivery, defended away down the pitch. If you're looking for Kelly, who's looking after the 80s and 90s show this afternoon, then you can find Kelly on digital radio and via your smart speaker as well. Here though, we're concentrating on the cricket as Mullaney is in and bowls to Mitchell again, who prods it out to extra cover, and there's no run again, and these are very useful balls at the moment for Notts.
It's been a real shift in momentum, hasn't there, after what sounded like a pretty explosive power play from when I was running around outside the ground.
Well, Butler was just getting a start, so this one's driven hard back down the pitch. Stephen Mullaney dives and it just evades him. They're only able to go through for a single as Hales fields behind Mullaney, coming in from long off boundary. Brings Livingston back to strike. Yeah, Butler, you sense, was just starting to get going, but terrific ball to dismiss him from Shaheen Shah Afridi. Yorker length, quick, and Butler had no answer to it. Here's Mullaney into Livingston, nudges this up towards sort of mid-wicket area, and they only get a single as Afridi runs in and fields.
Yeah, they're interested in this Lanc side, aren't they? I mean, they started off so well in both the county championship and then in the blast as well. We had a secret competition with them about who could be the first to not lose a game. We did indeed, but they've just struggled a bit of late, haven't they?
Yeah, here's Mullaney into Mitchell again, nurdling this up towards mid-wicket, and they just almost walked through for a single. Yeah, they won the first 3, Lancashire, and then have lost their next 3. So that brings them back to exactly where Notts are, having won 3, lost 3, and of what's turning out to be a pretty tight group, as this is played up towards extra cover by Livingston. But again, there's no real power on the shot, and it's comfortably fielded, and it's a single, and there's a good round of applause again for Stephen Mullaney's first over, which ends with a total on 59 for 3. That's the 8th. And only 4 off that, so 6 off the previous over, 4 off that one. And I think the previous 2, even within the power play, well, go back 3, 6, 8, and then, as I say, a 6 and a 4. So that's very economical from the Notts bowlers.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just, as you say, a total change of momentum, really, and you sense that Livingston's maybe going to want to get hold of Harrison here.
Yeah, Calvin Harrison to continue. Went for 6 off his first over. Livingston are happy to just nudge this one down the pitch. And Munro fields and takes a single. Beautiful sunny day again. Weather's been absolutely magnificent for T20 so far, as this is flicked off his toes down to deep backward square. Warm out there, I guess. Grace, a little bit earlier. Sorry,
yeah.
Who's Grace? You're Grace.
Yeah, I mean, it was cloudy this morning. I thought, oh gosh, I might get the ball swinging here, but I knew it wasn't forecast. But then, yeah, the sun came out. I think I might have burnt a bit on my arm, in honesty. It's a lovely day.
Here's Harrison again. And again, swept to Samit Patel at deep backward square. Another single.
Very good from Calvin Harrison, this, isn't it? They haven't managed to get hold of him yet. He's just holding his length nicely here.
Halfway through the 9th over, and Harrison is over the wicket. There's another attempted sweep, which Mitchell doesn't get much on at all. It ends up Going right down to fine leg. Actually got nothing on it at all apart from pad. Leg by given. And Hales at fine leg up inside the circle. Fields. 63 for 3. Harrison in again. A couple of paces down the pitch from Livingston this time, but again can only stroke it up to Joe Clark, mid-wicket. Another single. You do sense that something's building here from Mitchell and Livingston. Very good bowling. You have dangerous batsmen both ends. You'll be looking to have a go at some point. Again, wrapped on the pad here, Mitchell, and starting to look frustrated as he swishes at this twice after he's played it. Dot ball, end of the over, 9 gone, 64 for 3. Another 5 off that over. And Notts continue to keep these two under pressure. At some point, one of them at least is going to start having a go, aren't they? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, whilst the run rate's low in the last few overs, they are only 3 down. There's only 11 overs left, so you'd expect that they need to start going quite hard at it here. Current run rate's only 7. They'll be wanting to get that into double figures pretty soon.
Mullaney to continue. And why not? Only went for 4 off his first over. He's from the pavilion end and runs in, and this is hit through the covers. Nice cover drive from Livingston, and actually it's got enough on it. Alex Hales couldn't get there. Thought he was going to. I mentioned Hales struggling with a bit of a niggle. He didn't field last night at Edgbaston and thought he was going to get there, but never did. Maybe the pace on the outfield just took the ball away from him. It's nicely hit from Livingston. He's on to 13. Both batsmen now have 13, and he's playing another shot to cover this time, but at extra cover it's fielded by Munro, and they're just able to get a single. Mullaney to Mitchell this time. Mitchell has a big swing at this. Afridi is the furthest man back, but he's going to have to be further back than that because that's gone all the way into the pavilion. I think it's actually bounced on the pavilion concourse behind all the steps at the sort of in front of the pavilion, away at the far end. Retrieved now by a spectator and thrown back to Shaheen Shah Afridi. Big hit for 6, and maybe they've decided now is the time. Mitchell on to 19, 75 for 3. Umpire just has a quick look at the ball, make sure it's okay. Having met concrete. And it's the same treatment again from Mitchell, and again Afridi looks as if he's interested, but again it's too high. Not quite as big this time, a little bit straighter, but another 6, 2 in a row from Mitchell down the ground, and this one into the second row of the seats in front of the pavilion. Not far over Shaheen Shah Afridi, but far enough. And this time they are going to have a new ball. Umpire's saying that's had enough punishment. So we'll have a little bit of a delay as a box of balls is called for to go and get a replacement. But, well, we thought it was coming at some point. Stephen Mullaney's been the unfortunate man on the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, 17 from his first 4 deliveries after pretty tight first over, but I guess they're always going to look to target someone. I suppose the gentle pace of Mullaney and the timing of the over seemed quite logical to do it, and this is what can happen in T20 cricket. You can have a big over and it just again totally swings momentum back in your favour. So it's clever batting here, and Mitchell moves on to 25 now off just 16 deliveries, so he's striking at well over 150.
And he's just a bit like Josh Buttler was earlier in the innings. He's just starting to get going. Notts could do with another magic moment that Shaheen Shah Afridi. I'm not suggesting they'll use him at this stage, but that kind of magic moment that dismissed Buttler earlier on. They need something with a different ball then. Here's Mullaney bowling, and this is dabbed off his hips down onto the onside by Mitchell. They just take a single. Mullaney has to run all the way across. What's that, 6 pitches width to go and field?
It's a long old square at Trent Bridge, isn't it? Lots of wickets. They need them for all the games they've got here. Ground staff always do a tremendous job, must be said.
Playing on the same pitch as you were playing on earlier today. I think it's the same pitch as Friday night as well. This is clipped up towards mid-wicket again by Livingston, all along the ground, just a single. And that is the end of the over. That's the halfway stage. Intriguing one this, because Lancashire still have plenty of firepower, not least with the two batsmen that are in at the moment. Livingston on 15, Mitchell on 26 after taking a liking to Stephen Mullaney in that 10th over. It's 83 for 3 at the halfway stage. Quick word from Grace Ballinger, and then Dave Bracegirdle will pick up commentary.
Yeah, so as we say, 83 for 3, and looks like these two batters just starting to get going, so I think it's pretty in the balance at the moment. You sense that a couple quick wickets could just knock back down the gears that Lightning have just started to advance into, but at the same time, if these two get going, it could be a big score on quite an easy batting wicket, Dave.
Samit Patel back into the attack. Yeah, are there any signs of wear and tear on it yet? As Colin said, they did play on it on Friday, and obviously your game as well.
Not when we were playing. It was pretty good for change-ups, slower balls. I think a lot of us went to those at the death, but not a lot of turn. Didn't seem to be breaking up just as of yet.
Samit's first over went for 12, the second over of the match. He's in now and bowls to Liam Livingston. A little push into the offside. Yelled 2. Mitchell not so keen, and Montgomery fires in the return. It's a good return into the gloves of Tom Moores. 84 for 3, so simple maths tells you if Lancashire get 100 in their closing 10 overs, there's a fortunate outside edge that's going to run away towards the pavilion fence here. They're going to be a few runs shy of 200, and I think Notts would accept that, but that's the second time there's been a little bit of a snick that's run away quickly for 4, and as we were just saying, it's just so unforgiving. I mean, Samit's by no means one of the quickest bowlers, even if he does dart in a quicker ball, but just took the outside edge and ran away quickly to the ropes. Attempted reverse here by Daryl Mitchell will get a single. 89 for 3.
Learned a good stat today, Dave, about Trent Bridge.
Hit me with it.
It's got I don't know how they quantified it, but it's got the quickest outfield in the country.
89 for 3. Patel bowls. Attempted reverse brings a semi-appeal from one or two of those that weren't watching or weren't in a position really to have an opinion on it, but neither Samit Patel the bowler or Tom Moores the keeper were interested. Livingston's on 16. Looks to push this into the gap on the offside, and there's no run. Samit again doing a very good job here, but was a little bit unlucky with that outside edge that ran away for 4. 1 ball left in the 11th over. Patel bowls. Sliced away and a wicket for Patel. He's got Daryl Mitchell, who's gone for 31. He just tried to cut this away and has hit it straight to backward point. And Matt Carter takes a fairly simple catch high above his head. Notts needed that breakthrough, just sort of checks that little bit of momentum, and off goes Daryl Mitchell, who, not quite fair to say he won the game single-handedly at Old Trafford last week, but his 85 not out from 43 balls went a long way to doing it, and he's gone today. Caught Carter, bowled Patel for 31, and the Red Rose are 90 for 4.
Yeah, as you say, Dave, massive moment there. Daryl Mitchell just starting to get going, but Samit Patel, he's taken so many wickets at this ground, and he's just taken a massive one for the Outlaws. A regulation catch to Matt Carter, just didn't have to move, straight to him, and brings in George Bell.
Ding dong!
Oh,
No, it's not. It's Tom Hartley who's... you did me there, Grace, you did me there. It's Tom Hartley who's a fearsome hitter. He comes in probably a little lower than his ability would warrant, but he's come in at 6 in this particular game. They've bumped him up the order after those early wickets. Left-hander can give it a bit of a heave. 90 for 4. That's the end of the 11th over, so 7 runs from that one on a wicket, and Matt Carter, who got the catch, is going to bowl the 12th over. Had one of our regulars, John, get in touch. It was something Colin and I noticed, Grace, when you're bowling. Unusually, you have sort of a second, is it another bowling mark-up somewhere near the umpire? Are you just trying to hit that with your feet on your approach? Here's Carter. Won't give us too long to chat about it, no doubt. His first ball is eased down the ground by Livingston, and they'll run 2. 92 for 4. Livingston on to 19.
Yeah, it's fairly unconventional. It's to push my takeoff point back. When I was younger, I had a pretty terrible problem with front foot no balls, and that seemed to sort it well until today. Obviously, unfortunately, got it slightly wrong.
Carter in again, whipped away on the leg side by Livingston, but at the moment not so be, I think, relatively pleased having Liam Livingston 20 not out from 17. Can cut loose at any time, of course, but they've kept him relatively quiet. Maybe now with Salton, Butler and Croft and Mitchell all having gone, that Livingston may go one or two ways here. He may look to bat through the innings, or he may look to increase the tempo. Hartley off the mark, first ball, pushing it into the offside. I suspect possibly he'll look to bat through the innings here and then really look to pick it up in the last couple of overs if he's still there. And maybe Hartley has been bumped up the order here. You just go out and try and hit some 4s and 6s and get us going again. Carter bowls, and again Livingston takes a single. Not seem happy to let him take this one. They've got all the field pushed back on the leg side, and at the moment they're pretty much keeping him in check. 95 for 4. So he's signing a few autographs, Grace, and lots of photos.
Yeah,
always nice when you win, and lovely to see so many youngsters in the ground as Carter bowls. And here comes Hartley, and he slammed this straight back just to the onside of straight past Carter for 4. Lovely shot by Hartley, his first boundary. He goes to 5, 99 for 4.
Yeah, there's a brilliant crowd in today, actually, and as you say, it's so good to have so many of the youngsters in. They come in their club shirts. Cuckney, there's a few there, a lot of boys and girls, and it's just brilliant to see them excited about cricket, coming down and just loving the men's and the women's cricket equally, which is something that's been really good over the last few years.
Carter in again to Hartley, and again he goes, and he's been bowled. It's always likely to happen. Somebody out there just bumped up the order as a little bit of a pinch hitter, and he's swished across the line there and has lost his leg stump, and Matt Carter has got a 3rd wicket, and this is a great comeback for Matt Carter, having gone for a lot of runs last night. He's certainly made an impact here. He's got 3 wickets. He's also taken a catch, and the latest to go is Hartley, who's been comprehensively bowled there, and that was a quick visit to the middle. Carter with those 3 wickets. Looks as if it is going to be a continuation of spin with Samit Patel to continue. 99 for 5 after 12. Short and sweet, wasn't it, for Hartley. They've still got some decent players in the middle of the order. There's Rob Jones back in the side today. George Bell also there. Colin de Grandome is another one who can clear the ropes. But here's Patel to bowl to Livingston. Again, just content on pushing it around and taking the singles, and not so delighted with that. Colin Munro doing the fielding, and that's the 100 up. 100 for 5 coming up the first ball of the 13th over. Not mentioned our umpires for this one. They are Peter Hartley and Steve O'Shaughnessy. Patel running between the umpire and the stumps. Bowls, and Rob Jones away first ball. Afridi will do the fielding. 101 for 5. We're sort of between us, going all wallpapery and just trying to put a name on your coloured shirt, the Blazers shirt. England used to have flame red, or even more orange. 102 for 5, or has it got a designated name? Single taken.
Orange.
Orange, right.
I'd give it orange. It's quite a vibrant orange.
It is.
No?
It is. We all wish you well in the final next week at New Road on Saturday. 103 for 5 as Jones takes another single, just cutting it out as far as Montgomery. Samit Patel, as ever, bustling through his overs. 2 balls left in his 3rd. He's in again to Livingston, goes on the reverse, misses it, goes through to Tom Moores. Another precious dot ball.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's where Livingston would have wanted it, but he's just slowing up here, Livingston. You sense that he's going to release soon.
There's Patel. Will Livingston come hard at him? He won't. He'll just push it out into the offside. Mullaney not even tempted just to try and close it down and shy at the stumps. He knew a dot ball was a win for his side, a win for Samit Patel. 13 gone, 104 for 5. The men out, if you're just joining us, Phil Salt for 12. Joss Buckler made 23 and got possibly the best ball I've seen at Trent Bridge this season, York by Shaheen Shah Hafridi, who's playing his 150th T20 game today. Terrific delivery to crash into the base of the stumps. Stephen Croft only made 3, bowled by Matt Carter. Daryl Mitchell 31, and the last man out, Tom Hartley, for just 5. And it's going to be Carter to continue. This will be his final over. 3 for 20 from the pavilion end. Bowls now, and Livingston will pull this into the gap on the leg side, but Montgomery was fleet of foot, quickly got round there on the Fox Road side of the ground, and even quicker has the ball back into the gloves of Tom Moore. So only one more. 105 for 5. Not entirely sure if that's what Livingston intended, or he'll be a little disappointed that he wasn't able to get more elevation and send it sailing high into the Fox Road stand. Just seems content just to sort of tick along here, which is good as far as knots are concerned. And Rob Jones can't do a deal with this Carter delivery, plays it straight back to the bowler, and then took his hand off the bat and made sort of a zigzag sign to Liam Livingston, the non-striker, as if to say, oh, he's getting a little bit of turn, mate. Here comes Carter again, and this time Jones nudges it out towards the Hound Road stand. They should come back for 2, but Afridi fires it in, it's the stumps. They're asking, don't think it'll be given. The umpire was in a pretty decent position to have a good look there, but another spectacular moment in the life of Shaheen Shah Afridi. Speared a stump out of the ground with a throw in from about 55 yards.
Yeah, impressive that, and even if he's not out, which he clearly wasn't, it just puts that seed of doubt, doesn't it, in the batter's head for next time. So good stuff out there in the deep at long on.
Really good fielding. It's Carter round the wicket to Jones, only made 4 so far. That'll go to 5 with a gentle push wide of the bowler. Again out to Afridi. And Carter, 2 balls left in his allocation. 9 dot balls here, 3 wickets he's taken. Comes in once more and bowls to Livingston, who again can only just work it for a single wristily. Definitely looking to get to the back stages here, Liam Livingston, isn't he? And then really chance his arm. I know most of the big hitters have gone, but whilst there's still Colin de Grandhomme there, can afford perhaps to take 1 or 2 risks, but we've not seen that yet. Carter in again to Jones, and another single. That'll mean Jones keeps strike. That's the end of Matt Carter's allocation. He's through 4 overs, 3 for 26, and that's very good indeed from Matt Carter. Lovely to see him bounce back after the bit of a mauling he got at the hands of Sam Hain last night. And with 6 overs left, Lancashire Lightning 110 for 5.
Yeah, knocked massively on top here, Dave, in my opinion. I think they'd be very happy chasing anything around the 200 mark or below. And I mean, Livingston certainly can be explosive, and he can certainly score at a fairly quick rate, but I think he's going to have to go soon here, because it's a good batting track, Dave. We saw it earlier. There's such a short boundary out there towards the Smith-Cooper stand as well, and you sense that chasing on here could be pretty easy for Notts if they manage to keep the score below 200.
So Samit Patel is going to get his 4th and final over. This is the 15th, and then Stephen Mullaney's just got a little bit of thinking to do about who bowls the last 5. So this one sliced into the offside and could well have brought another wicket for a couple of reasons. Rob Jones went hard at Patel, sliced it to backward point. Carter did the fielding, it fell just short of him, and Jones had to hastily make his ground before being run out. Afridi, well, definitely will have 2 of the last 5. Jack Brooks has only bowled 1 over so far. Stephen Mullaney got a bit of a mauling. Wonder if he will come back. This one's just played down the ground to Afridi. Big fan of leg spinners. I'd like to see a little more of Calvin Harrison. He's bowled 2 overs, none for 10. Now Livingston on strike. He's on 26, faces Patel. Again, just content to let the ball come to him. Goes deep into his crease and eases it out to Harrison, who's at deep mid-wicket. 112 for 5. Ball return to Patel. Crowd not really on the edge of the seats. That will build. This one's driven hard by Jones. down the ground. 113 for 5. Afridi doing the fielding. Seemed as if the umpire there was urging Afridi just to throw the ball a little closer to the keeper. This one's outside the off stump of Livingston, but he went to reverse it and missed it through to Moores. Comes Samit Patel again, final ball of the 15th, and Livingston again just caresses it into the offside, and there's Matthew Montgomery. So good stuff from Samit Patel, good stuff from Notts Outlaws today. 1 for 28 for Samit Patel from his 4 overs. Patel, along with the rest of them, they won't have got to bed, I would imagine, much before 1 o'clock last night at the earliest. It was a late old finish, that tense encounter at Edgbaston, and then all the media work afterwards, and then the coach journey back. So a late old night, and the players have not had too long to bounce back. The assembled 11 just saw one change from yesterday. Jack Brooks in for Jake Ball, who's not feeling too well. We wish him well, and there are 5 overs left. We are going to see Calvin Harrison with her thoughts on what may happen. Grace Ballinger, and then to pick up commentary, it'll be Colin Frey.
Yeah, good to see Calvin Harrison back into the attack. He's been so economical here, going at just 5 and over, and especially more impressive for a leg spinner. But Livingston just striking it just above a run of ball here. They've done well to keep him quiet, Colin.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel that quick, does it, the way he's been going? Just thinking that he's been around for a while, but he will be well placed to have a bit of a go over the last few overs, and this one is nudged up really through the covers to an Alex Hales figure who is clearly not himself, because he's gone down very slowly to try and stop this on the boundary, and it's gone through him for 4. I said yesterday that he got a niggle. He didn't field at all yesterday, but obviously with Notts fielding first here, it's a different situation, but he really did not look himself as he went to try and field that ball. And it's 4 for Livingston, who's on to 32 as Harrison is into him again, and this time he's trying to sweep, and he's got the faintest of touches on it to take it directly behind the stumps, but Shaheen Afridi is across to it very quickly. I beg his pardon, that's Jack Brooks down there who's across to it very quickly. Good piece of fielding. It was a number 70, not a number 10, and got to it quickly, cut it off. Good fielding. And Livingston gets 2. He's on to 34. 120 for 5. And he's down the pitch to this one, and that's gone very high. It's a steepling one. Hales underneath it, takes the catch. And that's another massive moment. Harrison gets his wicket, his first, 1 for 16. And Livingston is gone for 34. It looked like he'd belted it out the ground when it first left his bat, but it went higher rather than longer, and Hales was underneath it. And a safe pair of hands, even if he is hampered by whatever niggle he's got just at the moment. Hales takes it just inside the boundary. Livingston gone for 34, and it's 120 for 6. Huge wicket.
Yeah, absolutely massive, and very well deserved by Calvin Harrison. He's come into the team and bowled fantastically. He's held his lengths brilliantly, and yeah, he really didn't get a hold of that, Livingston, because that's a short boundary out there on the offside towards the Smith-Cooper stand, and yeah, Alex Hales held his nerve after a couple of missed fields and brings Luke Wood into bat, lightning 120 for 6.
No Colin de Grandhomme yet. Wood in to join Rob Jones. Luke Wood, former Notts man, of course, is joining Jones, who has 8, 120 for 6. And that, again, just re-exerts Notts' authority on this. Been in a very good place pretty much throughout the innings, taking wickets at very good times. That's Butler, Livingston, Mitchell, who've all got starts and have not been able to go on. 120 for 6, and here's Harrison to continue. This is swiped up in the air by Wood. Shaheen Afridi running in, takes the catch. Slips as he does so, but a safe pair of hands, and it's a first baller for Luke Wood. Shaheen Afridi with the catch this time, and Calvin Harrison is on a hat-trick as Notts look as if they're about to take control of this T20 Blast match against Lancashire. It's 120 for 7 in the 16th over.
Yeah, again, good work from Afridi running in, ending up, I'm not sure if it was a dive or he slipped a little bit, but a handy catch and another deserved wicket for Harrison. And Dave Bracegirdle was right in saying he wants to see a bit more of Calvin Harrison because he's done the job here, and it brings in Colin de Grandhomme, who certainly can hit a long ball, Colin.
He can indeed. Another of the Lancashire batsmen. Colin de Grandhomme then comes in and will be facing a hat-trick ball for Calvin Harrison. Go one more for Dave. He was calling for more Calvin Harrison even when Harrison wasn't in the team. He wanted him in, and he's delivered already. A couple of wickets yesterday, 2 for 18 at Edgbaston, and here he's got 2 for 16, and he's on a hat-trick. And if he can get Colin de Grandhomme first ball, which is very much easier said than done, he will be the first Notts player to take a hat-trick in the T20. Calvin Harrison with a crowd into it now, clapping him in, and de Grandhomme just nudges this away onto the onside, out towards mid-wicket. They're going through for 2, and then there's a bit of a slip and a stumble. That looked awkward. Now, who was that who's stayed down? Shaheen Afridi was running in to maybe field it, but he was beaten to the ball. I'm just trying to see who's down.
Is it Joe Clark? Oh, Matthew Montgomery.
Joe Clark's out there. It's Montgomery who has stayed down and is still sitting down now. Physio out with him. Just seemed to fall very awkwardly. Maybe rolled his ankle, something like that. Shaheen Afridi gives him a pat on the shoulder and then walks away to leave them to it. But that's a worrying moment. Shoulder potentially for Montgomery. And this is it just looked awkward, didn't it, Grace, when he went, he was almost, I don't know, off balance or something, funny angle when he was throwing it in and then fell awkwardly.
It's so easy to just land on your shoulder. I've done it a couple of times, and you can just lodge your ACJ or catch it. Are you pointing to the elbow now?
There's a story there, Grace. If you weren't listening last night, and if you weren't in the Edgbaston car park last night, Dave, on his way to the ground, so it wasn't even dark, he couldn't even claim that, managed to lose his footing in the car park and took an almighty tumble. But better than that, he tried to stay up for 2 or 3 paces and just couldn't hold it and went all over the car park.
It's a sight I would have liked to see. I wish I was at Edgbaston yesterday.
There were very few people who were privileged enough to be there to see it, which Dave was very happy about, I'm sure. Now Montgomery is being led off the field here. Going to be interesting to see how he goes, whether or not he's going to be able to bat. Sub-fielder has come on. Is that Conor McCurr?
Yes.
He was the one of the sub-fielders they had to use last night. At one stage they had 3 on last night at Edgbaston, but Conor McCurr was the first of them, and so he's come on tonight, this afternoon as well. Here's Calvin Harrison into de Grandhomme, who got 2 for that. Montgomery injured himself, and he gets 1 here. But Calvin Harrison's over, which has been very eventful, at the end of all of that, comes to a close. 123 for 7. In the end, they got 9 runs off the over. I'm not entirely sure how they managed to do that, but there were 2 wickets in there, and that's the important thing, and it's 123 for 7.
Yeah, there was that boundary over to the Smith-Cooper stand, wasn't there, the first ball, the slight misfield by Hales.
Forgot that was all part of the same over.
It seems a while ago, doesn't it? Eventful's definitely the word I use, and it looks like we'll be seeing Jack Brooks back into the attack.
4 overs to go. And Jack Brooks coming back on. He's only bowled the 1 so far. Harrison 3 overs, 2 for 19. So they might still go with Harrison, but of course Afridi has got 2 overs to go as well, so he'll almost certainly bowl 2 of the remaining 4. Here is Brooks then into de Grandhomme. It's wide outside off stump, and yeah, the umpire has a think about it and eventually spreads the arms wide and says it was wide enough. Just had a little think.
Yeah, I thought he wasn't going to give it at first. I thought Grandhomme might have stepped across, but just slightly too wide with the wide Yorker attempt.
124 for 7. 4 overs to come as this one is re-bowled, and he edged. De Grandhomme is gone for 3. Brooks gets his wicket as he edges behind to Tom Moores. And it is another wicket, 124 for 8. And Nottinghamshire are taking control here at Trent Bridge on a sunny afternoon. Lancashire in all sorts of trouble. De Grandhomme gone, 124 for 8.
Absolutely, Colin. I said just a few overs ago that I think that Notts would be happy chasing anything under 200, but looks like they could be keeping them under 150 here, and that's certainly under par. And this explosive Lancashire batting attack has just not managed to fire in the last couple of games, and brings in George Bell to bat.
Yep, George Bell comes in. Wicket on his birthday for Jack Brooks, as Notts really turning the screws here against a Lancashire side who started this competition so well. Just to repeat, 3 wins out of 3. Their opening 3 matches, and they've lost their next 3, and they're in big trouble here at Trent Bridge. Brooks is in, bowls to Bell, who's playing him up towards long on, and that's Shaheen Shah Afridi. He's had a busy day in the field today. He's got a wicket. Superb, spectacular wicket it was of Josh Butler. Yorker, clean bowled. Butler on 23 at the time. Livingston made 34, Mitchell 31. This is wider still, outside off stump from Brooks. Bowling to Jones, and so Brace's pet hate again. More balls than 6 in the over, and he gets all grumpy.
He's had to leave the room.
He's had enough. Brooks in again, and this is swiped at outside off stump by Jones up to extra cover boundary. Munro fields, and they can only get the 1. Jones 9, Bell 1, 127 for 8. Cloudless blue skies above Trent Bridge. Lovely weather. And good performance to match it for Notts at the moment. This, though, is testing Munro. Does very well to dive and keep the ball inside the rope, and then the subfielder McCurt throws it in. That was cut hard away on the offside, and he had a lot of ground to make up, did Munro, who then runs in to go and take up his position for the next ball. He's coming up inside the circle, but then he had to go back. Oh no, he's going all the way. He's coming all the way around here towards long off, I think. But he'd gone 20 yards before he remembered he had to go and retrieve his cap, which had fallen off. And he gets some good applause when he takes up his new position. A long way down in front of us. Here's Brooks in again, and this is driven straight, and he's going to be involved again here as Munro, as he fields at long off this time. They've scampered through though for a couple. Quick running from Lancashire now. They need it, because they need every run they can get.
Absolutely. He's timing it nicely here, Bell, as he's come in, just faced 3 deliveries, but just struggling to find the much needed boundaries, as you say.
This is played square on the offside again, and that's Calvin Harrison racing round to throw in this time, and that arrowed throw from Harrison restricts them to a single. End of the over, 17 have gone, 132 for 8, and managed to get 9 again off the over, because they are running hard now at everything, taking a lot of 2s, but they're Notts have Lancashire where they want them really at this stage.
Good sign for Notts fans and for the Notts team to see Matthew Montgomery returning out onto the field of play. It's obviously good. He's been batting 4 and he's been in pretty fine form, hasn't he, Matthew Montgomery? And there's something that Notts wouldn't want, just a slight weakening of their batting attack. So good to see him back out, and hopefully no serious injuries there.
He's taken well to T20 cricket, Montgomery. And Shaheen Shah Afridi is back into the attack against effectively the last 2 of the last 3 for Lancashire, and this is sliced up in the air. Matt Carter with a long run to go and try and get there and couldn't. It looked like he was almost there. Now there's a shy at the stumps as they come through for a quick second, and although Tom Moores whips off the bails, they are home. Bell is leading a bit of a charmed life. That went right up in the air, but there was a long run for Matt Carter, and looked as if he'd almost got there but not quite. Went through his hands. Clark was coming in on it as well. He was the one who shied at the stumps. It was all happening.
I think he misjudged it a bit, Matt Carter, in honesty. It's pretty hard when a ball goes up and there's not a cloud in the sky. I'm not sure what the science is behind it, but your depth perception just goes, and just sense he just didn't quite judge it. But just 2 runs.
Here's Afridi into Bell once more, who's on 8, and this is just dug out by Bell up towards the mid-wicket area, and fielding's done by Stephen Mullaney in the end, and they've gone through for 2 again. Again, running these 2s hard, finding boundaries hard to come by. Lancashire doing all they can to do what they can with this total. 136 for 8. As he's clean bowled. Afridi is in, and Bell trying to sweep. Afridi with the trademark now stands there with his arms aloft and apart, and he's got another wicket. Bell has no answer to this. It's 136 for 9. He goes for 10. It's another one for Shaheen Shah Afridi.
Yeah, just totally played down the wrong line of it, didn't he? Bell maybe got slightly frustrated with not managing to find the boundary, but I think he was actually doing a pretty good job, Colin. He was striking at nearly 200 and just maybe looking for the boundary that probably wasn't there against the serious bowling of Afridi. But Lancashire are 9 down now, and they don't want to be all out here in 20 overs, so they won't be able to go as hard at it as they might have liked.
Jack Blatherwick is the final batsman for Lancashire, who, like Jack Brooks, is celebrating his birthday today. And Blatherwick comes to the crease. So, big mate of Forest captain Joe Worrell is Jack Blatherwick. I'm sure Joe is wishing him well, and he might need to, because he's up against Shaheen Shah Afridi here.
It's not really what you want as a number 11 going in, is it?
It's not ideal, is it? 136 for 9, 2.5 overs to go. Afridi with a ball in his hand, herring at you from the pavilion end at Trent Bridge, but he's dealt with it well as Blatherwick. He plays this off his toes down to deep backward square. Montgomery comes in and fields and looks okay as he throws that ball in, having had his spell of treatment off the pitch, and Blatherwick off the mark first ball. 137 for 9, and a couple of balls to come of this, the 18th over. 2 to come after this. And here is Shaheen Shah Afridi again into Jones. It's Yorker length, dug out off something that wasn't bat. Leg by is signalled as they run through.
It's been a good spell of bowling here from Notts. They've just kept the pressure on, haven't they, consistently. I'd be very interested on the boundary stat after the power play. I reckon it's pretty slim, lots of dot balls, and Afridi just being ever so consistent as always at the death here.
Yeah, it's been very tight throughout from Notts with the ball. And here is Shaheen Afridi once more, and Blatherwick has edged this through beyond the wicket keeper, and he gets 4. And he moves on to 5. An edge off the outside of his bat, ran wide of Tom Moores, and although they had third man up inside the circle, it sort of went between them. And it's 142 for 9 and a much needed boundary for Lancashire. And that brings Jack Brooks back on again. So Brooks is going to bowl his third over, 1 for 19 from the 2 he's bowled so far, and then Afridi will no doubt finish things off from the pavilion end for Notts. That's the way the last 2 overs are going to shape up. 142 for 9. So if we end up with Brooks to Blatherwick here, he's bowling this first ball to Jones, but if it's Brooks to Blatherwick, it's the 2 birthday boys together. As Brooks is in to bowl to Jones, outside off stump, flourishing shot. It's only found Montgomery though. It's on the cover boundary. And with no cake to be seen, it is going to be Brooks to Blatherwick. 143 for 9, 11 balls to come. Top scorer for Lancashire, Liam Livingston with 34. Darryl Mitchell 31, Josh Butler 23, and Blatherwick plays this to backward point. And they've run 1, they're coming back for a second, and they're going to get it. That's good running from Blatherwick, who's running towards the danger end. Thinking about overthrows actually, as it is eventually backed up by Stephen Mullaney. But Blatherwick had gone a long way beyond the stumps at the far end, having raced in for his second, and that's where they stay. 145 for 9. But any runs these 2 can put on are valuable runs for Lancashire. In comes Brooks again. Scoop shot, and it's deflected straight to Samit Patel at third inside the circle. Patel takes the catch, and the innings is over. There is a wicket, another wicket for Brooks. Blatherwick is gone for 7, and Lancashire are all out for 145 in the 19th over. And you have to say, whichever way that you shape that, whichever way you look at it, that is a fabulous effort from Notts with the ball against what looked at the start of the day a formidable batting lineup from Lancashire. It's 18 and a half overs, and it's all over. It's 145, and Notts will need 146 to win. And Grace Ballinger, that is job at the halfway stage anyway. Very much well done.
Yeah, they'll be happy walking off there, Notts. They've carried all the momentum to look like a pretty decent batting wicket. There's not been much swing or spin about, so I think they'll be pretty happy chasing that. And I think Lancs be not only disappointed with the failure of their top and middle order, but they've left 10 balls out there, Colin, and even 10 balls, if you can get 10 runs off them at the end, it just seemed a bit unnecessary going for that ramp by the number 11. But yeah, Notts definitely with the momentum coming into the second innings here, fresh off a win yesterday as well.
I mean, it's a good point you make. I mean, even if you're, what we'd been saying is a couple of overs ago they were running 2s well, and even if you run 2 off each of those 10 balls that you've given away, even if you're not scoring boundaries, that's an extra 20 that you've then got to help defend, and you're up to 160 instead of 140 off.
Yeah, exactly so. And it's not like, obviously Notts had 5 out, the field was spread, there was plenty of chances to hit the pocket and run 2, and even if you're just getting singles for the last 10 deliveries, it's 10 more runs they could have put on their score. And I think, yeah, Lancs will definitely be disappointed, and something they need to have a look at after the game.
Lancashire, who, as we've been saying, started so well in this competition. They started with 3 wins, but since then they've had 3 defeats. And they are in big trouble at the halfway stage here. The bowling figures for Notts start with Jack Brooks, who bowled that last over, so 2.3 overs for him, 2 for 22. Shaheen Afridi has only needed to bowl 3 overs, 2 for 25. Samit Patel bowled 4 overs, 1 for 28. Matt Carter 3 for 26 from his 4 overs, and that's very commendable to him. He was given a bit of a clattering at Edgbaston last night, but he's come right back here, 3 for 26 from 4 overs. Calvin Harrison 2 for 19 from 3 overs, and a couple of overs from Stephen Mullaney, 0 for 23. So very good bowling figures from Notts generally all round. As I've been mentioning, Liam Livingston the top scorer with 34, Darryl Mitchell 31, Josh Butler 23. None of them able to get going, having got starts. Phil Salt made 12, and elsewhere Stephen Croft 3, Tom Hartley 5. Rob Jones finished not out on 10. Luke Wood got a first baller from Calvin Harrison. Colin de Grand on 3. George Bell 10 and Jack Blatherwick, the last man out, for 7. 145 all out in 18 and a half overs. Thanks for the time being to Grace Ballinger and to Dave Bracegirdle. You're listening to BBC Radio Nottingham. It's 17 minutes past 4.
Okay, our thanks to your commentary team of Grace, Colin and of course Dave. Will join them back for the second innings very, very shortly. Fletch, if you said at the start of the innings Lancashire would get to 145 and would get 10 wickets, I think you'd take that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, mate. And also, I think we said at the start, if you get 2-3 wickets in the power play, you win most of the games, and we've done that today. I thought our bowling in the power play was the best it's been all competition. Carter looks like he's found his form again. And Shaheen Shah really took a wicket as well. So yeah, listen, 145 all out. Anytime you bowl a side out, but for 145 against Lancashire, we'll certainly be happy with that.
We spoke about Lancashire's kind of strength up top. Those two balls really at the end of Afridi's over and then Carter taking away Butler. Afridi, stumps flying.
Yeah.
Next ball, new over, Matt Carter, stumps flying. Yeah. Croft goes.
Croft goes. Yeah.
Momentum.
Yeah.
How much does that just give the Outlaws momentum in that moment?
Oh, it's massive. And also, you know, Josh Butler's a world-class player, one of the best in this format of the game, so anytime you see the back of him. But yeah, you can see the confidence in the players today, can't you? You can sort of feel it, and after last night's win, that's sort of what you get from them games. So it's great. I'm sure the lads now would have the bowlers would have let the batters know. It looks to me like it's holding a bit in the surface, hence the reason why they bowled a lot of slower bowlers. Mullaney bowled himself today, all the spinners bowled, so hopefully our batters come out and we get off to a good start and try and kill the game early on.
You've played with a person called Samit Patel for many years.
A few games, yeah.
Just a few games, yeah. He loves T20, he loves playing here at the Bridge. If we just look at his bowling figures, he only got 1 wicket, but he caught there at the end. He got involved in all of the game as well. And I imagine that he'll be talking in that dressing room now, revving the lads up.
He'll want to open the batting now. He wants to do everything.
Sit down, Samit, not yet.
Samit's enthusiasm is why he's still playing the game. He's like a 10-year-old in the nets in a 6-week holidays. He just loves it, so yeah, I don't think he'll open the batting. I'm sure I think Clark and Ailes will want to come out and do the business. But no, Samit, back bowl field, loves it. He loves the crowd, loves playing on TV. And that's how you should do it. I think all players should love that. And it's amazing. You look around, the crowd's packed, and it's brilliant. The sun's out. I mean, what a day.
You mentioned Matt Carter there. If we just look at his figures, 3 wickets, 4 overs, 4 overs. Yeah. Just an economy though of 6.5.
Yeah, and bowled 2 overs in the power play, which I think his power play overs were cheaper than his ones out of the power play, which is crazy.
And
you're bowling at Josh Butler. So no, he is a world-class bowler, Carts, and he's probably not found the form he's had in the previous years yet in the competition. But what I would say, in this competition, you don't want to peak too early. You want to peak at the right time, get your momentum. And I know it's frustrating as fans, you want to win every game, of course you do, but it feels to me now we're starting to get a bit of momentum off the back of last night's win and from the performance here. We'll know more by the end of the game how the batters go about it, but if we win tonight, that's against 2 strong sides, Birmingham Bears and Lancashire Lightning, 2 of the big sides in the competition. So listen, it's great. We need to finish it off now, and that'll be a great day.
You talk about the batters, how will they approach it? Obviously 146 is the target. You've got 20 overs. I think it's somewhere around like 8 and over needed. We both know what Alex Hales and Joe Clark can do and how they like to approach their cricket and how the Outlaws approach their cricket. But we've got plenty of time to get those runs, haven't we?
We have got plenty of times, but you don't want that mindset going into it. It's a negative mindset, in a sense. You want to play a natural game. You know what I mean? If that's to go out there and smack it, go out there and smack it. You know, if they're still in after the power play, Clark and Ailes, the game's pretty much done, I think, in my eyes. Now, you don't want to curse things, of course you don't, but the chances are, if them 2 perform to their potential and they're still in, the game's put to bed. So that's the way I'd go about it. Other people might say, listen, take your time, get yourself in, knock the ball around. But I'd go out there full of positivity and give it a good whack, entertain the crowd and get the win.
Now I know you've got your coaching badges, that's something you're passionate about. So I want to get your mindset here. Luke Fletcher, world-renowned bowler here at Trent Bridge, but you know, you can smack a ball. You've hit a few sixes in your time.
I've hit a couple of bombs, yeah.
I've hit a couple of bombs. You over, you know, Fox Road. A few in Swift Cooper, etc. You're talking to Alex Hales, World Cup T20 winner. You're talking to Joe Clark, been in the Big Bash for the last few years, top overseas in the Big Bash. Luke Fletcher, the coach, what are you saying to him right now? I'm saying, lads, go out there, play your natural game. You lads have got enough experience now. Go out there and win us this game. Be the lads to put a big dent in this chase of 146 and get us over the line. What do you think to say back to you?
Let's say, all right, Fletcher, I think you're bang on there. Well, they might tell me to clear off.
I think it might be the latter. Today I listened to you about batting techniques.
Hey, you just asked me my advice. I've just given it you.
You have. But obviously, it's not just going to be about them. They'll set the tempo, but there's a lot of players in that Outlaws lineup that can contribute to getting us over the line here today.
You look at people like Matthew Montgomery, who plays spin really well. There's going to be a lot of spin or a lot of pace-off bowling after what the Lancashire Lightning have seen us do with the ball. So that's his strength. But Ben Duckett's type player, nothing like him, you know, obviously right-handed, but in terms of sweeping the ball, reverse sweeping the ball, hitting the pockets. So this could be a really good pitch for Montgomery, I think. And then later down the line, Munro, we've seen him last night, he's in great form, you know.
Left-hand, right-hand combination will be important.
I think so, but you always would like that because you've got the smaller boundary, so it always opens that up, really. So that's key, but it's not the be-all and end-all. We've seen balls coming out to the big side, and the outfield's that fast. You get it in the gap and it goes for 4. So listen, we go out there, we be positive, we back ourselves, and if the ball's there and you back yourself to clear the ropes, go out there and do it. Play with the freedom.
I imagine we know what we're going to get from Lancs at the top. We're going to get Luke Wood.
We'll have a bit of Luke Wood.
Luke Wood. We know what he can do, obviously, from his time here, but also at Lancs.
I think Lancs might want to get Blatherwick into the game a bit early, just to free him up a bit. But then it'll be straight to spin. Even Liam Livingston might even open the bowling. Wood will take the first because you know he can swing the white ball. Livingston likes to get himself in the game. Very much a similar character to Sammy Patel. Wants to bat, wants to bowl, wants to do everything. So he'll be sticking his hand up for a bowl as well. But it'll be a lot of pace off.
Well, Wham's on in the background. The Fresh Prince of Trent Bridge, Jess Prince, is playing a bit of Wham. Crowd, I think, will be up for it. We're just waiting for the players to come out.
I want a bit of Tiesto, not a bit of Wham. You want Tiesto, don't you? I might go and give him my phone, my playlist up there. So
you do that? Okay, in this second innings, Fletcher's going to go and give Jess Prince his playlist. So if you come down to Trent Bridge for the next game, it's his playlist. Feeling confident, no final words as the players get ready to come out?
Listen, I am confident. Like you said at the start, we're taking that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
I think that's as much as good a performance we've had with the ball this year, if I'm completely honest. It looked like we were in complete control. They never really built a partnership. We kept taking wickets regularly, which obviously kills that. And yeah, we were in complete control, and we finished it off nice at the end with Brooksy and Shane Shaw Frida.
We did indeed. Well, Alex Hales and Joe Clark are ready. We hope you are too, and I'm sure our commentary team are as well. Back to Grace, Colin and Dave Bracegirdle.
Play from Leicestershire, who are still looking for their first win in the competition. They're up at Durham this afternoon. Elsewhere in the south, Middlesex 139 for 9 from their 20 overs. Gloucestershire 52 for 1 in the 7th over. Kent made 173 for 5 from their 20 overs. Surrey going along very nicely at the end of the power play, 62 without loss from their 6 power play overs. Somerset all out for 150 off the final ball against Essex. Essex 47 for 2 halfway through the 6th over. Glamorgan made 219 for 5 at Sussex, who are 22 for 1 after 3 overs in reply. That's the way the matches look elsewhere around the country. As I say, that one result in from the early start, Yorkshire beating Derbyshire by 7 wickets, finishing on 170 for 3. And as far as the table is concerned, that has put Yorkshire up to 5th place. But all very, very tight. Worcestershire 8 points from 4 games. Birmingham 8 points from 6 games. Durham 6 points from 4. Of course, They're playing at the moment, as are Worcestershire. Lancashire, who Notts are playing here, 6 points from 6 games. Yorkshire, 6 points from 6 games. Notts, 6 points from 6 games. Derbyshire, 4 from 6, and Northamptonshire, 4 from 5. The exception really to it being a close group are Leicestershire, who have no points so far from their opening 5 games, but basically 4 points separating the top side from the 8th placed side in the group. And if Notts can get the job done here, having won at Edgbaston last night as well, then they will be in a very good place, both psychologically and in terms of the group itself as well. The Notts opening batsmen and the Lancashire fielders are on their way out here at Trent Bridge. Dave Bracegirdle is alongside me. Grace has had to leave us. She's not feeling too well, so get well soon, Grace. Hope it's nothing too serious. But Dave and I will talk you through this second innings here on BBC Radio Nottingham. And Dave, Notts are in a very strong position.
Well, everybody who's spoken to me before the match, asking my opinion, have had the same answer. I think there'll be a high scorer. 200 plays 200. I think if Notts had batted first, they would have felt they would have needed 200. And if Lancashire had batted first, I would imagine they were going to get 200. So to bowl them out for 145, that's tremendous. And can't count any chickens because there is still a job to be done here, but crikey, 146 to beat Lancashire and go 4 and 3 in the group. And Lancashire, after the start they got, winning their first 3, everybody's saying, well, they're going to romp through the group. It's going to put a very different spin on it, but let's just see how these boys go. As you've been saying, Joe Clark and Alex Hales, both with niggles, neither look tremendously comfortable in the field, particularly Hales. It seems to be his left side, left hip. So we'll have to see how he goes. And of course Matthew Montgomery, although he came on the field and fired in a couple of returns from the boundary with his right arm, he seemed to fall quite heavily on his left shoulder. So we'll see how we go. Colin Fray will talk you through the first 5 overs. Hopefully it's a nice and quiet one as far as Notts are concerned. They just ease into their work here. 146 the victory target.
7.3 and over. You don't start many 2020 innings with that as your target. It's Luke Wood, the former Notts man, who's going to open the bowling for Lancashire from the pavilion end, and this is turned away on the offside for 4 through backward point by Joe Clark. First ball, first boundary. Nicely timed from Clark, maybe just given a little bit too much width by Wood, and crunched away to the boundary. Good start.
Not had a great day so far, Luke Wood. He was out first ball. Calvin Harrison getting 2 in 2, and the first ball he's delivered has been cut away for 4.
Wood outside the 30-yard circles as he turns and runs in to Clark, and Clark this time plays this to mid-wicket where Blatherwick fields, and there's no run.
Had a message in from Jake Ball, who's enjoying the coverage and was very impressed with the Notts bowling unit. I hope you're feeling a little better soon, Jake. I think it's just a 24-hour thing that goes as soon as it came, but I hope you're enjoying the rest of the coverage, and we'll cheer the boys on to a victory here. They're 4 without loss.
There's Wood getting to his mark again. He's way outside the circles as he begins that run up, and he comes to bowl to Joe Clark. Clark plays this nicely, not quite through the covers because it is fielded at extra cover by Phil Salt, and there's no run.
In hindsight, there were 1 or 2 very strange things about that Lancashire innings, weren't there? I mean, Hartley coming in, you know, I sensed that was to try and take a little bit of pressure off Livingston, but you made the point, why not send de Grandhomme in? He's a seasoned international. He's a
makes you wonder if he's not perhaps fully fit or something, coming in at 9.
Maybe. But it was a real tale of woe from their perspective. Livingston top scorer with 34, Mitchell 31, but very little else.
Offside field here is well guarded for Joe Clark as he plays this up towards mid-off, and it stops and there's no run. Not sure if there was a chance of a catch. It was a bit uppish, but I think it probably would have fallen short of Liam Livingston. Certainly stopped it, but they've got a point in cover, extra cover, and a sort of a wideish mid-off, as well as third up inside the circle.
Played well last night, Clark, didn't he?
did very well for his. So this is dabbed behind backward point, and he does need a new bat. He's been looking at his new bat as he takes a single. He's been looking at his bat for the last 2 shots he's played, and now as he runs through for a single, he's gesturing that he's going to need a new one. So he sort of made 88 last night, but actually it'll go down in the books, and as you were saying earlier, it'll stay in the books as 89.
Apparently so. That's what happened. Everybody was sort of watching the ball head towards the rope for the last ball of the innings, and then Jake Lintott stopped it on the rope, fired in a return, and by that point the 2 batters in the middle had realised it wasn't going to be a boundary. Montgomery called Clark through, so he had to put a bit of a sprint on, and clearly everybody thought, well, him sprinting to get home, he was completing a second run. There's a slight hold up here as Rob Jones he must be hearing music in his ears, because he's not stopped yet. It's like,
well, he didn't seem to know where he was going to be fielding. He was at slip, and then he sort of retreated towards third man.
What's that game? Musical chairs.
Yeah. Here's Wood. He's back in at slip now, and Hales plays this up to extra cover. Phil Salt fields, and there's no run. So after conceding the boundary off the first ball, that's a good comeback from Luke Wood. It's 5 without loss after the first over. Clark and Hales will be looking to do significant damage to this total they're chasing of 146. As outcome, out comes a new bat for Joe Clark. Colin de Grandon is going to bowl from the Radcliffe Road end.
He's taken 5 wickets so far. He's bowled in 3 of the 6 matches and been completely ignored in another 3 of the 6.
Little delay again as Joe Clark is only now just getting back to the wicket and pulling his gloves back on. Now just sorting out his bat handle, getting everything as he wants it, everything as he likes it.
Again, they're trying to cover all eventualities with a sweeper out either side.
Yeah. Well, in the kind of mood he was in last night, and the mood that Alex Hales had been in the previous 3 games, it's hard to know exactly where to cover, isn't it? Here's de Grandon then, and that's leg side, and that's tucked away for 6 by Joe Clark. Well, you don't bowl there. Outside leg stump on the short side of the ground, and turned away through deep backward square for the first maximum of the innings for Joe Clark. 11 he moves on to. He's got them all so far. And Liam Livingston straight away is changing the field. He's bringing the man who was on the sweeper rope on the offside back inside the circle. Mid-wicket goes back to the rope, and there's a swing and a miss at this from Clark, and it goes through to the wicket-keeper.
It was there to put away, wasn't it? And as you say, the man on the offside had been brought up into the ring, and then de Grandon bowling one short and wide. Anything on it would have gone away for 4.
Grandon turns away from us and bustles in again. Clark comes a couple of paces down the pitch and then gets this one high up on the bat. Just ends up coming to ground just in front of him. No run.
Good crowd on this, the middle tier of the Radcliffe Road stand, Colin, and just had a little look outside towards the back end of the Lancashire innings. Absolutely jam-packed up here.
Here's de Grandon, and this is hammered away by Clark over that ring of fielders on the offside and over extra cover, and races away for 4. It's a really nice shot from Joe Clark, who doesn't look like he's wasting any time. It's a 4, a 6 and a 4 from him so far, and we're only in the second over.
It's a belter of a track for this format, isn't it, really, T20 cricket? I know folks, sometimes they say, it just becomes a game of it in, who can hit the most 4s and 6s, but it is all about entertaining the crowd at the end of the day. They are in the entertainment business, and if you've got a good, true surface here where the batters can go through with their shots, confident that the ball's not going to shoot and keep low or pop off a length, you can really enjoy the stroke play. And Joe Clark, one of the best, and Phil Salt's just called for a helmet. He's going to stand up to the stumps to him.
Yeah, there's another slight delay as in comes de Grandhomme and bowls a leg side wide.
Actually, I've said Phil Salt.
Yeah, Phil Salt's fielding up.
Yeah, no, it's Butler. It's Butler.
Cover. Butler's behind the stumps. Decided to stand up to Grandhomme.
Of course, they played here in a recent county championship game, and George Bell was the wicket keeper then, so they're not short of options.
De Grandhomme 16 without loss, and there's an attempted scoop shot. No bat on it. It goes through to the wicket keeper.
Came in at 10, George Bell. I very much like the way he shaped up as a number 5 batter in the county championship game. Scored decent runs here. Looks a player, but found himself at number 10 today.
De Grandhomme to Clark, and he's got some air in this, and it goes over long off for a 1 bounce 4. One of those where once he'd hit it, I thought that might be just going high and have no distance on it, but again Clark's got plenty behind that, and it is through, and it bounces just inside the rope for 4 runs. It wasn't far from the maximum, but it was 4. Clark is on 19. There's been 1 extra, and it's 20 without loss, and Alex Hales has only faced 1 ball so far, and hasn't scored from it, but he's going to face Luke Wood at the start of the 3rd over. 20 for 0 at the end of 2.
Sort of replicating the Lancashire start here. They were 22 without loss from the first 2. Remember, they were 41 for 1, so to be bowled out for 145. Lost their last 9 wickets for just 104. Terrific stuff from Notts. Matt Carter bounced back terrifically well. 3 wickets for him, a couple for Afridi, a couple for Brooks, and a couple for Harris, and 1 for Samit Patel. Great team job.
Here's Wood, herring in from the pavilion end to bowl to Hales, who's a bit tied up by this, and there's no run. He does not look himself at all, does he, Hales? No. Not really seeing too many signs of an issue from Joe Clark, who seemed to be struggling towards the end of his innings last night, and therefore and after that didn't field. But Hales, a couple of moments in the field that you could almost feel him wince from here. What, 150 yards away at times.
We left Edgbaston last night wondering where Seba Mead, maybe even Ben Slater, might be called into the side.
Here's Wood into Hales again, and he's playing this one up towards mid-wicket. And the reason I mention that then is because when he was tied up by that previous Luke Wood delivery, it looked a bit awkward, as if he was really not holding himself as you would expect him to. So we'll see how he goes. Because he was out cheaply last night for the first time in 4. 3 consecutive half-centuries before that. Clark took over the mantle last night. Here's Wood into Hales again, and he's pitched this one short, and Hales with a flat bat swats it over point for 4. 1 bounce and across the ropes, and I'm not sure Luke Wood will be trying that again to Alex Hales.
And I've just refreshed my memory just looking at the scorecard from just a week ago when the sides met at Old Trafford, and of course Alex Hales got a duck. He was yorked by a magnificent in-swinger from Luke Wood, so he'll be very, very wary. Of course, a former teammate of Hales here knows what he's all about.
Here he comes again, Wood, to Hales, and Hales is just playing this out onto the offside. No run again. It's largely been a good start by Luke Wood, but he's just been loose a couple of times, like he was on that previous delivery, and the very first delivery, which was cracked away on the offside for 4 by Clark. Apart from that, he's only conceded 1 run in the other 8 balls.
Of course, if you want to get to finals day, Luke Wood is the one you want in your side.
Here he is again, left arm over the wicket, and that's played nicely through the covers, but not quite through them because it is fielded. And there's no run again for Alex Hales.
He's got winners' medals with both Notts, Outlaws and Worcestershire Rapids. You remember when he was at Notts one season, he was allowed to go to Worcestershire on loan. That was the season they won it. And of course last year he was a member of the Lancashire side, beaten in the final by Hampshire, that dramatic conclusion where they lost by just 1 run. But I guess he must be the only one to go to 3 finals days with 3 different sides.
Here he is again, last ball of the over, and this is just nudged onto the onside by Hales. I thought about a single, but it was never really there. Hales looks a bit frustrated as he goes through a bit of a practice swish. That's the end of 3 overs, 24 for no wicket, just 4 off the over. That short pitch delivery that was given the full treatment by Hales. And otherwise a very tidy over from Luke Wood. And change of bowling, Tom Hartley is replacing the pretty expensive Colin de Grandhomme, who only bowled the 1 over.
Slow left arm spinner. We know Jake Ball's watching. We've got another member of the Nottinghamshire squad who's also watching the live stream and listening to the coverage. Liam Patterson-White, good to hear from you, Liam.
There's Hartley, and this is lofted over the inner ring of fielders on the offside for 4. Through the covers, or over the covers, you should say, perhaps, by Joe Clark, who is pretty much dealing in boundaries so far. He moves on to 23 and the total to 28 for no wicket.
Liam will be pleased that his old mate Jack Blatherwick's got a game here for Lancashire. Not yet seen him in the attack.
Here's Hartley again into Clark, who's turned him round the corner this time, and it's wide of fine leg, who's chasing after it and can't get there. It was played quite uppishly by Clark, but safely. That was Blatherwick who was going chasing after it, couldn't get to it, and it's consecutive 4s for Clark. He's on to 27 from 13 balls. I said right at the top of today's coverage of this, can Notts continue where they left off? And it certainly looks as if Joe Clark is, as he drives this next one down the pitch over the bowler's head. There are 2 fielders converging on it, and one of them is Phil Salt, who just taps it inside the rope, and then it's hurled back in by Liam Livingston to deny him a 3rd consecutive 4.
Credit to Phil Salt, and credit to you as well, because I wasn't going to lean right out, almost toppling out of the window to see him just down below us.
Hartley in again, and this one is played through a lovely gap for 4. In between extra cover and mid-off, and Clark has 4 more, and he is very much enjoying this over against Tom Hartley. And Notts are making inroads into their target of 146 already. They're 38 for no wicket. Clark's got 33 of them.
He's had a very decent 21, 22 hours, hasn't he, Joe Clark? That big unbeaten score last night that will go in the record books as 89 not out. On his way again here. He's got his shirt number 33.
Hartley round the wicket, and Clark tries to pull him away, loses his balance, gets hit on something. There's an appeal for LBW, and the umpire keeps his finger down, and it's a dot ball. Remains 38 without loss. And Hartley again bowls an outside leg stump, and Clark had backed away and turns him up towards mid-wicket for a single, which means Joe Clark will keep the strike again. He's on 34 from 17 balls that he's faced, so going along at 200, and it's 39 for no wicket after 4 overs.
Yeah, it's the first time that Notts have actually been ahead of where Lancashire were at the same stage. Matt Carty, you may remember, came on, bowled the 4th over, just 3 runs, and that first wicket, the one of Phil Salt, so Notts have just eased ahead. But of course the Lancashire innings really did tail off. Some terrific moments for the Notts bowlers. Jack Blatherwick is going to get his first bowl for Lancashire in T20 cricket from the... No, he's not.
No, I thought he was as well.
I was watching the screen which said Jack Blatherwick, but it is going to be Daryl Mitchell instead.
I thought
they did us. They did us.
They did. Sure, but I saw Jack Blatherwick starting to sort of pace out his run up. And he was one of 3 or 4 that had gone and converged on that area at the pavilion end, but it is Daryl Mitchell to come in to bowl to Clark, and Clark heaves him over the offside for 6. Just into the William Clark stand, to the side of the Smith Cooper stand. Big flourishing shot, got plenty of air on it. Everybody on that offside is up inside the circle. They had no chance. 4 more. He's on to 40.
There was a social media clip a couple of nights ago of a steward at Durham trying to take a catch that was sailing into the car park. Much wiser here at Trent Bridge. They got out of the way of it, those 2 stewards.
Mitchell in again. Clark this time pulls him away onto the onside. And they'll just trot through for a single, which will give Alex Hales a rare look at the ball.
He's playing a gem of a knock at the moment from the non-striker's end.
He's got 4 from 7 balls faced. Clark dominating the strike, but making good use of it as well. He's on 41. Notts 46 without loss, so they need another 100. Here's Mitchell into Hales. Hales cutting hard and gets 4. Through a wideish third man, backward point area. That's 4 to Hales and 50 between them. Clark 41, Hales 8, and the 50 partnership comes up in the 5th over.
And of course, the quicker they can get this done, the better. They want Lancashire to feel, well, it's a foregone conclusion. There's only going to be one outcome, and the quicker that feeling can spread through the Lancashire side, the easier the job will be.
Mitchell in again to Hales. He drops this one in short, and Hales pulls him round towards mid-wicket, all along the ground. And they go through for a single.
You don't want 50 for none to become 60 for 3 or 65 for 4 or something like that, and
no.
Just give them a bit of a sniff, bit of a feeling that they can perhaps defend this.
Yeah, Notts have got Lancashire where they want them.
Yep.
Don't let them back in from here. Mitchell into Joe Clark, who's down the pitch and has to dig it out because he comes down the pitch, and he's calling for something else. I think maybe new gloves this time. Wood did the fielding. They've gone through for 1. He's just had another wave towards the dressing room balcony. He's already had a new bat. Don't think he needs another one of those yet, but I think he was calling for gloves. As Mitchell prepares to bowl again to Alex Hales. This is the last ball of the 5th over. 1 more power play over to come after this. Mitchell into Hales, pulls him away, and the man at mid-wicket's not going to get there. First bounce was a despairing dive from Rob Jones to try and pull it out from about waist height, maybe shoulder height after that first bounce, but it's 4 more to Alex Hales to end the over. It's a fine pull shot from Hales. 4 more to him, and Notts in a very good position at 5 overs with 1 more power play over to come. Hales has got 13, Clark's got 42. Notts are 56 for no wicket and going along very nicely. And commentary here on BBC Radio Nottingham will continue with Dave Bracegirdle.
Thank you, Colin. Almost like a superstitious footballer, more than tempted to say keep going, because there's absolutely nothing gone wrong for Notts in the first 5 overs here. 56 on the board, and Joe Clark with 42 of them from just 20 deliveries. Alex Hales is going at better than a run of ball, 13 from 10. It is going to be Jack Blatherwick who made the move 4 years ago now from Trent Bridge to Old Trafford in the search for regular first team cricket. It's something I think that he's still striving to achieve on a regular and consistent basis, but he's got an opportunity today in the short form game. And a bowl from this Radcliffe Road end, and Joe Clark is on strike. That's the final over of the power play, and Blatherwick bowls a delivery that is a no ball. So just about to say that was a pretty decent lively start from Blatherwick. We always knew he was quick, plenty of pace, and this one just shaping away from Joe Clark, who was trying to hit it long and far, but Blatherwick has overstepped. So that's a couple onto the total for the no ball, 58 without loss. And now what damage can Clark do with a no ball? Blatherwick to bowl to Joe Clark, who again pulls vigorously and misses it, and it goes through to the keeper.
Seemed to stay lower than Clark was expecting, that one, didn't it?
So decent pace being generated here by Jack Blatherwick. course, with only 2 fielders out, he can fly here, there and everywhere. Lancashire have got a 3rd man and deep square leg. Blatherwick in again. Clark tries to scoop this over Butler and misses it, and it goes through to the England white ball skipper Jos Buttler. Big year, of course, for England with the T20 World Cup not too far away. Interesting stat I saw put round this morning that we heard from Ben Stokes during the interval. He's become the first Test skipper to win a Test match without batting, bowling or keeping wicket. There's Blatherwick in again to Clark. Can't get bat on ball, and now he does. It's gone straight up in the air. Should be a caught and bowl chance for Blatherwick, who's underneath it and catches it. Jack Blatherwick has his first wicket in T20 cricket, and it's Clark who's been caught and bowled for a magnificent 42. Just got underneath this one, went straight up in the air. Keeper thought about coming, but Blatherwick takes it himself and knocks off 58 for 1 in the 6th over.
Well, that went a long way up in the air, didn't it, that from Joe Clark, and Blatherwick had a long time to be underneath it and wait for it to come down. Took it well. In the end, he was sort of falling backwards. By the time he took it, Joe Clark's very entertaining knock comes to an end. 6 4s, 2 6s out of 42 in 24 balls. Excellent entertainment from Clark, and Colin Munro comes in, and he'll try and do what he did last night, really, which is take over when... Oh, it was the other way around last night. Munro got going first, didn't he, and then Clark took over from him. But they were the 2 big scorers last night. He'll be trying to keep things going again here.
Not entirely sure what determines what footwear Colin Munro will wear. We often see him with some bright orange ones, just the more traditional white cricket boots on here. Left-hander. Comes to the middle halfway through the 6th over. Scored 60 in the match at Old Trafford. Blatherwick wasn't playing in that, and Blatherwick is hit away for 4 by Colin Munro. That's been a little bit of a feature of Colin Munro in this competition. He does like to get up and running quickly, be it a 4 or a 6. Seen him do that a couple of times as well, clear the ropes with his first ball, but a nice shot square of the wicket on the leg side, and Jos Buttler rather than Liam Livingston just trying to move the fielder. I think that's Tom Hartley out there, just getting him a little squarer. 62 for 1. Munro has opened his account. There's Blatherwick in again, bowls, and Munro tries to get hold of this one and hit it many a mile, but just bottom edges it down onto the ground, and there's no run. Bit of a Kiwi loving out there. Lancashire have got Colin de Grandhomme and Daryl Mitchell. Colin Munro out there batting for Notts, all 3 of them current New Zealand internationals. Rob Jones is now being dispatched out to deep mid-wicket. George Bell comes up into the ring on the offside. Bell, the height of a jockey, typical wicket keepers. Size, as Munro chops it out backward a square, won't get a run, and that is the end of the power play. Notts doing everything they need to do, really, going along at 10 and over. 62 for 1 after 6 overs, but a bit of a blow losing Joe Clark for 42 in that over. Jack Blatherwick getting his first wicket, and it was a steepler that he judged nicely before catching it. It's going to be Daryl Mitchell to continue.
It's a good start from Jack Blatherwick, wasn't it? 1 for 6 off his first over. Bowled a no ball and then conceded the 4 to Munro. But apart from that, the rest were all dot balls.
Notts require 84 runs from 84 balls. Daryl Mitchell to bowl to Alex Hales, and Notts will still require around about 1 a ball, or exactly 1 a ball. They contemplated 2 there, but saw that Hartley was racing in off the fence. Single taken. 63 for 1. Lots of bowling options for Lancashire, but they've, from their perspective, got to pick up wickets regularly.
It's what Notts did, wasn't it? They never let anybody get going.
strike, so we have got that all New Zealand direct combat here with Mitchell to bowl to Munro. They've batted together on many occasions, know all about each other, and Mitchell bowls outside the off stump. Munro just cuts it out to Rob Jones, and they take a single. 64 for 1. Brings Hales back onto strike. He's on 14. Through the first 5 matches, Notts have sent out Matthew Montgomery at 4 in the order. Tom Moore slipped in ahead of him last night. There's Mitchell. In, and Hales eases it onto the leg side. Pigeon just flew across in front of the window, in front of my eye line there, and for a moment I thought it was going to interfere with play, but it was rather closer to me than it was to the action going on in the middle. Still that hum and buzz around the ground. I think there'll be, at the moment, a largely content Notts following, as Munro again just opens the wrists, plays it nicely out again to Jones on the Fox Road side of the ground, takes another single. Poor throw in from Jones, bounced it in front of Joss Butler, but wasn't too accurate, and he holds up his hand to apologise. 66 for 1.
I think they're going to do it in singles, Dave. You said 4 balls ago that they needed exactly a run of ball. They still do. 80 from 80.
I'll tell you what, Colin, it doesn't matter how they get it.
No, absolutely. Well, they don't have to force it from here.
There's Mitchell bowls, and Hales will push it gently onto the leg side. And again, they sort of teased everybody that they might go for 2, but didn't. And it's another single, 67 for 1.
That's all they need, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's kind of no point in taking any risks from here. I know that they'll probably want to get it done as early as they can, but just go along at a run of ball and you win the game.
79 from 79. Really was a curious innings that Lancashire posted earlier in the day, all out for 145, as Munro will find the space on the leg side and will beat the dive of Luke Wood on the fence. Good effort from the former Notts man. Couldn't get there though, and a boundary to Colin Munro to end the over, and Notts are 71 for 1 after 7, and Munro's opened his account with a couple of boundaries already.
Yeah, I told you he'd want to get on with it quickly. Quicker than a run of ball. And there's a fine end to the over. Nice shot from Munro. Yeah, 71 for 1 at the end of 7 overs. By the time Lancashire got to 71, they were in the 10th over and they were 3 down. It shows you now how far ahead Notts are. And where they need to be.
Going to be Blatherwick to have another one. His first over only went for 6 runs. 2 of those were from a no ball where he overstepped, but he did pick up the wicket of Clark. He's in now to Hales, who goes to pull him away. It's thudded into that left thigh, which may or may not be the area that's giving him concern. Saw him once or twice in the field sort of rub his left thigh, his left hip. It's a leg by anyway. 72 for 1 brings Munro on strike. Perhaps heard me the other night when Mick Newell joined me in commentary. In fact, it was at Old Trafford, wasn't it, when I sort of said that the first feeling when Munro was announced was that's not sort of the big star name was perhaps expecting. He's on strike on 10 now, and will pull this away down to fine leg. That came later with the signing of Shaheen Shah Afridi, who is sort of globally recognised as one of the pin-up boys of world cricket. But you look at Munro's record over the year, everywhere he's gone he's scored runs, he's won matches, got 5 centuries in this format of the game, and he's just a good solid player who, low maintenance, good player, good team man, liked wherever he goes. And I have to admit, good signing. This is chipped by Hales tamely to Livingston at mid-off, and Blatherwick's got 2. He's got both Notts openers, first Clark and now Hales, who's out for 17, 73 for 2.
Yeah, well, we've been saying all afternoon that Alex Hales hasn't quite looked himself, and that was another example of Alex Hales not quite looking himself. That was a very simple chip up, wasn't it, too? Straight to Livingston. Livingston might have hurt himself in taking the catch. He's staying down for a little while. If it's stung his fingers or something, or bent a finger back while he was taking the catch, he certainly held on to it okay.
Milking it, Colin.
It might well be. One or two concerned teammates bending down to see if he's okay. But Hales has gone for 17. Couldn't quite get going. And here is Matt Montgomery back in at 4, and that will suggest that there's not too much damage to his shoulder. He's going to need some attention, is Liam Livingston. No, he's not. I think he's just waved them away. A couple of his teammates called for the physio to come on and have a look, and Livingston went, nah, you're fine.
Milking it, Colin. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many of these Lancashire players or the coaching staff would have spent their evenings glued to the Edgbaston live stream last night watching this game, whether they'd have been aware of Alex Hales perhaps not quite being 100%, but if they weren't aware, as long as the belief was out there that Hales was at the crease and was going to cause them mischief, it would have been a real concern to them. Here's Blatherwick. New man is Monty, who pushes this down the ground to Phil Salton. They take an easy single. Monty is Matthew Montgomery, of course, who earlier went down in a bit of a heap on his left shoulder. Coo Bansell, the physio, was quickly out there attending to him and went off the field for an over or two, but he returned, and certainly no lasting damage because he's been sent out to bat at number 4. So left-hand, right-hander still. 74 for 2. Blatherwick bowls. Montgomery, not sure how much he will have seen of Jack Blatherwick in the past, rolls his wrists and gets a single. 75 for 2 in the 8th over here at Trent Bridge on BBC Radio Nottingham. Our continued coverage of the T20 Blast. Notts won 3, lost 3 going into this game, and I can just refer you back to 2017, the first time that Notts won the competition after 6 matches. Won 3, lost 3. There's Blatherwick wide of the off stump. That's too wide, umpire, surely. But no, I think he's going to get away with it. He is. 75 for 2. 6 years ago, Notts began with an indifferent start to the tournament. Won 3, lost 3, but of their remaining 8 matches, 2 were rained off. They won 5 and lost just 1 of the closing matches to top the North Group, win their quarter-final and be successful on finals day. So despite at times, particularly the last couple of matches here at Trent Bridge, looking very much out of sorts, don't rule or write Notts off just yet, but they've got to get over the line here first. They've got 75, they're past the halfway stage. They need another 71 from 72 balls to defeat Lancashire. We're now turning once again to Colin de Grandhomme, whose first over went for 15.
A couple of interesting finishes coming up in the other Northern Group matches that are still happening. Earlier, Yorkshire beat Derbyshire by 7 wickets. Keep you in touch with the other games.
De Grandhomme, bowl to Munro, takes a single.
So at Durham, remember Leicestershire, without a win so far, 5 games, 5 defeats. They need 19 from 3.1 overs with 7 wickets remaining. They're 153, chasing 169 to beat Durham and get their first win on the board.
Durham, of course, here on Thursday. Notts Outlaws' next match. De Grandhomme bowls and Montgomery can't get this away, fielded by the bowler.
And Worcestershire the leaders, 4 wins out of 4. They're playing against Northants today. And this could be tight as well. Northants need 41 from 3.5 overs. They're 138 for 3, so they've got 7 wickets in hand as well.
De Grandhomme into Montgomery. He'll get off 1 and on to 2 with a single on the leg side.
So tight finishes potentially in both of those matches. I'll keep you in touch with how those are going. Gloucestershire closing in on victory against Middlesex. They need 5 from the last 2.5 overs.
Don't do T20 Middlesex, do they? They had the 1 year where they got here through to the quarter-finals as de Grandhomme bowls. This is pushed to backward point. There's no run, and what did they put on the board? 164, 165, and Hales and Nash went out and absolutely walloped them in double quick time to pull off a 10-wicket victory. But since then, Middlesex haven't threatened the quarters, let alone finals day. De Grandhomme bowls to Munro. Another chop out over this glorious Trent Bridge carpet, which sad to report, does look in need of a drink. I'm sure Steve Burks, the head groundsman here, and his staff will get the hose pipes on as soon as this match is finished. One or two bare patches, ground thirsting for a drink as Montgomery eases this down the ground. Just thought wrongly that I heard a cry of no ball there from the umpire, but I didn't. It's the end of the 9th over. 79 for 2, Colin Munro 14, Matthew Montgomery 3, Joe Clark made 42, Alex Hales 17, and however this turns out, so far it's been a pretty decent return to Trent Bridge for Jack Blatherwick. 2 overs, 2 for 10.
Yep, but well so far. Lots have not really found a way to get him away. He's accounted for the 2 wickets, the 2 openers of Joe Clark, who was looking in very dangerous form, and then of Alex Hales, which is always a pride wicket. Liam Livingston to come into the attack now for Lancashire.
Taken just 3 wickets so far. He's only played 4 of the matches. Attempted slog sweep by Montgomery. Goes out as far as the diminutive George Bell. And a single is taken. 80 for 2. One or two team photos. They've cruelly suggested that George Bell might be the mascot. He really is one of the smallest cricketers that you can see. It's exaggerated more by the fact that he's in the field. You don't notice as much when he's the wicket keeper with the helmet on. This one from Livingston would have drifted down the leg side had it not thudded into the pads of Munro. 80 for 2. Livingston bowls, and he's going to get a wicket here as Munro squared up, gets a leading edge out into the offside, and that's a tame end. And Livingston, well, he's only taken 3 deliveries to come on and get the end of Munro, caught by Daryl Mitchell, who will have enjoyed seeing off his fellow Kiwi. Munro today has gone for 14 from just 13 balls, and at 80 for 3, this one not done yet.
No, this is not gone the way that Notts would have wanted it to, and not the way it looked like it was going to go when Joe Clark and Alex Hales were in. And you mentioned it at exactly that time. They didn't want 40 for no wicket to become 60 for 3. Well, it was 60 for no wicket that has become 80 for 3. Here's Samit Patel, promoted up the order a little bit to see if he can get some runs and get Notts going again a little bit here, because impetus just swinging back towards Lancashire a little bit. I mean, Notts still only need just over 6 and over, so they're very much favourites to get the job done, and they should get the job done from here with still 7 wickets in hand. But a couple more wickets for Lancashire will put them right back in it.
Anybody who knows how the Notts middle order is arranged each match, please send in on a postcard, because Samit Patel, who some matches, they've lost 6, 7, 8 wickets, and Samit hasn't even got to the crease. Now finds himself in at number 5 ahead of Tom Moores and Stephen Mullane and Sheen Shah Afridi and one or two others, and he's off the mark. First ball, dropping it on the leg side out to George Bell. Single taken, 81 for 3. There will be the feeling that they want to get everybody sort of the same amount of cricket, everybody feeling that they're in decent nick, getting enough opportunities, but it's all about winning the game, isn't it? Winning the match. Next one is Durham at home on Thursday, as this is played away by Montgomery for a single, and then on Friday the second match, the return against Derbyshire after Notts convincingly beat Derbyshire in the first match here a couple of weeks ago. 82 for 3. Livingston to Patel, goes to cut this. There's an appeal from Mitchell at slip and bowler Livingston. Butler wasn't interested. The end of a successful over for Liam Livingston. He just went for 3 runs and got the wicket there of Colin Munro, and Notts pegged back a bit, 82 for 3 at the halfway stage. They're still on course, and he needs 64 from the last 10 overs, and again to reiterate that have bitten your hand off if at 2 o'clock we'd sort of suggested that that's where we would be at just after 10 past 5 this Sunday afternoon. Outlaws 82 for 3. Another quiet 5 overs, please, Mr. Frey, as Notts hopefully ease towards their 4th win of the season.
Well, it's they've almost done me again. I thought Daryl Mitchell was going to come on and bowl. He took his cap off and went to the umpire, was about to give his cap to the umpire, and then Jack Blatherwick has appeared at the pavilion end, and he is going to continue. Bowled 2 very good overs from the Radcliffe Road end, so he's 2 for 10. Blatherwick is in to bowl to Montgomery, plays him back down the pitch, not very far. Blatherwick chases after it, fields it from a prone position, then has a little bit of a throw at the stumps, but Montgomery is safely home, and he's on 6. It's 83 for 3 after 10.1 overs, and after 10 overs Lancashire were 83 for 3. There's been some very good overs from Lancashire. From the time that Notts needed 6 and over, they've restricted them the last few overs to 4, 4 and 3. For the last 3 overs. Here's Blatherwick into Patel, who defends him down the pitch, and there's no run.
You just wonder why they, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn or too early here, but why the wheels have come off Lancashire. They looked terrific in their first 3 matches, then were bowled out at Edgbaston for 98 by the Warwickshire spinners. Then they lost to Yorkshire in the Roses battle on Thursday, and were well beaten by Durham on Friday night.
Here's Blatherwick into Samit Patel, and Patel turns this one away towards square leg, and I think that's Rob Jones out there who fields, and there's just a single.
It's a format where nobody's really consistent and you can lose any game. I just wonder which is worse, to be in Lancashire's position of winning 3, losing 3, or not, sort of 1 loss, 1. I know it's not been 1 loss, 1 loss, 1 loss, but it sort of feels like that, inconsistent, and always there or thereabout in the matches. But they both go into this one with the same record.
Here's Blatherwick into Montgomery, who digs him out of the block hole and up the pitch towards long on, and they just take a single again. Yeah, that's a momentum thing, isn't it? And Notts neither have bad nor good momentum at the moment, because like you say, I suppose they have some good from last night from winning, but there's no sort of streak about Notts. Whereas Lancashire, you'd think that a little bit down after losing 3 in a row.
But we left here Friday night sort of fearful that Notts would end the weekend 2 wins, 5 defeats.
Here's Blatherwick into Patel, who clips this one off his pads. There's a man down at deep fine leg who does the fielding. That man is Colin de Grandon. And again, it means that Notts are only able to get 1. It's not the end of the world for Notts, but it's been another good over for Blatherwick and Lancashire.
They still had to produce last night, but I did like the side. It was good to get Jake Ball back and involved. It was good to get Calvin Harrison involved, and it was good to see Clark and Munro get big runs.
Blatherwick, full toss to Montgomery, who's playing this one out through backward point. Chases on, and chase is successful for George Bell, and it means they are able to only get 2 rather than 4. But it's another good over from Blatherwick. It's 88 for 3 after 11 overs. So they've got their required 6 off it. I think the run rate is actually up to about 6.5 an over now for Notts, but they got 6 off the over. 88 for 3. 58 needed, or 54 balls. And 7 wickets in hand. Here's Livingston from the Radcliffe Road end, continuing to Samit Patel. He nudges this one out square on the offside. It's a little bit of a misfield by Daryl Mitchell. Backward point, but no run. This next one is played more flourishingly by Samit Patel. Couple of paces down the pitch to Livingston and crashes him through the covers for 4. Played uppishly but wide of extra cover. Plenty safe enough from Samit Patel. Found the gap and thumped it through it. And a boundary for Patel, who's on to 7. Here's Livingston again into Samit Patel, who plays this up through extra cover again. This time Blatherwick runs round from long off and fields, and Patel's run back for 2.
They obviously think this is a match-up that suits Samit facing Liam Livingston. Maybe just sense that this was the time to get Samit going again. I say he's not batted much lately.
Here's Livingston into Patel, who's cutting this one into the ground, and it goes down to third man. There's, I think, no, he's not out. The umpire keeps his finger down. Samit Patel was just heading back to the non-striker's end. There was a direct hit, and the umpire has kept his finger down. I have to say that Liam Livingston's response was that Samit Patel was out. It was a definite scream, and he was halfway to wheeling away to celebrate.
Wasn't running his bat in, Samit, I will say that. Nice to see a replay of that one.
Yes. Livingston just stops as he's about to deliver the ball and warns Samit Patel for being out of his crease. And now a reverse sweep down to third man, who was the same man who fired that throw up to Samit Patel to almost run him out. Last ball of the 12th over, and there's a pull shot this time round towards square leg where Wood fields, and that's the end of the over as they just take a single. Some drama in it. 96 for 3, 6 off it. No, 8 off it, I beg your pardon. 96 for 3. So Notts doing their job. Samit Patel got his boundary in that one, didn't he? He's on 10, so is Montgomery. And Notts are 50 short from 48 balls.
I think it was Colin de Grandhomme who fired the ball in, but certainly something there. You teach all youngsters, don't you, when they're going for a run your bat in. But whether Samit was home, whether he got the benefit of the doubt, it's irrelevant now. He's still there. He's on 10. Montgomery's on 10. 96 for 3 after 12. Not still require 50. Luke Wood, 2 miserly overs to begin with to the openers, went for just 9 runs.
It's interesting to see him coming back now, isn't it? It's quite often your opening bowler, as in the case with Shaheen Shah Afridi for Notts, would tend to bowl 2 of the opening 3 and then come back for 2 of the last 4. And they're bringing Luke Wood back on now after he bowled the first and the third over. Maybe they sense they need a breakthrough here. 96 for 3. Wood round the wicket to Montgomery. Plays him off his hip to deep backward square. Lungley fields. And it's just a single. Beg his pardon, Hartley. Not Lungley. He's the umpire, isn't he?
He was last night's umpire. Even better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tom Lungley, Tom Hartley. Single for Montgomery. And Wood at the end of his run. He's over halfway back to the pavilion by the time he turns and runs into Samit Patel, dabs it down towards third man, and they trot through for another one, both on 11. 98 for 3 earlier on. Some very good bowling from Notts. Matt Carter 3 for 26 from his 4 overs. A couple of wickets for Calvin Harrison as well. Shaheen Afridi with one of the balls of the T20 blast so far to York out Joss Buttler. It's good moments for Notts with the ball. Here's Wood into Montgomery. Montgomery has a chase on here as there's another shy at the stumps, but this one is wide and he gets comfortably through.
A couple of key absentees for Lancashire. Matt Parkinson, who's played in every one of the matches, the leg spinner who's played a little bit for England, he's been omitted this evening. The first one he's missed. Saqib Mahmood as well. I think he's picked up a knock. I'm sure they would have both been.
Wood into Patel. Patel flicks this one off his toes down to deep backward square again. Hartley fields, and there is a single. That's the 100 up. Yep. That's the reason for the applause around Trent Bridge. 100 for Notts for the loss of 3 wickets.
Yeah, I'm sure Mahmood would have been in if he hadn't got an injury. Don't know why Parkinson hasn't been selected. Josh Bohannon played the other night, who's been in good form in the Championship. Difficult side to command a place in at the moment.
Wood into Montgomery, who's chopping this away towards the backward point. And there's a single as fielding's done by Colin de Grandhomme.
Luke Wells missing as well. Keaton Jennings is injured. Got a huge squad, and of course the players coming back from the IPL, Butler and Phil Salt, one or two others. They've had to sort of leave out players that have played most of the matches for them this season so far.
Wood into Samit Patel, damming it down towards third man. There's a shy at the non-striker's end, and it's missed the stumps again. Notts taking on Stephen Croft this time. It's 2 or 3 times in the last couple of overs that Lancashire have had a go at knocking down the stumps. They did so once, but Samit Patel was in his ground. But that's the end of the 13th over, and it's 102 for 3. Notts needing 44 more off 42 balls.
Yeah, we're at the point in the contest where traditionally the music starts to get ramped up. Listen out at the end of each over now for probably your favourites, or probably those that you don't want to hear ever again.
We might have a bit of Sweet Caroline at some point.
That's coming on, you would imagine, and Hey Jude and one or two of the other favourites. Here's Hartley.
Hartley into Samit Patel, and Patel plays him out on the offside to cover. Rob Jones fields.
You know when we said they can get him in ones?
Yeah. That's the way it's gone pretty much since then. Hartley in, sweep from Montgomery, that's 4. That's a lovely shot. Away through square leg from Montgomery, reached for it and turned it beautifully all along the ground, timed it well, it raced away in between 2 fielders. Got a fielder at a sort of wideish deep mid wicket and a deep backward square, and it bisected the gap between those two, raced away for 4, and now here's another single out towards the square leg umpire from Montgomery, who's on to 18. Patel 14, and the run rate comes down below 6. They need 38 from 39 balls. Very much in control of their own destiny here, Notts, but Samit Patel has come dancing down the pitch and is bowled. 2 or 3 paces from Samit Patel, trying to knock Hartley out the ground, missed it, and his stumps are at a very unnatural angle. Samit Patel goes for 14, and Notts 108 for 4, just when it looked like they might be starting to go into cruise control and just ease their way home. It's another wicket for Lancashire. Hartley gets Patel, and he's gone for 14.
It may be that Lancashire will feel that is Samit Patel getting his just desserts. 1 or 2 correspondents are getting in touch to say that Samit certainly hadn't grounded his bat. Those that have been watching the live stream and able just to sort of rewind and have a little bit of a look. Always difficult to make out the lines, but 1 or 2 people saying it did appear as if he might have been short of his line, with Liam Livingston absolutely convinced it was out.
That's the point I was going to make, Dave. He was utterly convinced, wasn't he, Livingston? You can tell sometimes, can't you, by the sort of immediate and natural reactions. We said it last night with Montgomery's catch, that you knew from the immediate reaction that it was a good catch, and so it proved to be. And the same sort of thing here with Livingston's reaction to this. The new batsman is Tom Moores, on strike to Hartley, wrapped on the pad, big shout. Umpire says not out. 108 for 4 it remains.
He said not out. We used that little expression earlier, didn't we? Fine margins. Just imagine if it had been 2 in 2 then.
Here's the next ball, and Tom Moores whips this away down to deep backward square leg for a single, and that's the end of the over. Moores on 1, Montgomery on 18. Notts are 109 for 4 at the end of 14, so they need 37 runs from the last 6 overs, 36 balls. So still in control, but they won't want to lose a couple of quick wickets, and Lancashire will know that a couple more quick wickets here might give them a sniff. Even with that, you'd say that Notts should still have enough to get home from here, but you just never know.
Well, there's been 1 or 2, I was going to say famous but slightly incongruous occasions where we've been in a position to say, well, Notts should get home from here, and they have proceeded to go on and blow the opportunity. We won't dwell on those right now. Let's just hope Tom Moores can get a couple away here.
Darryl Mitchell is now the new bowler, and has a swing and a miss outside the off stump from Moores, and it goes through to Joss Butler behind the stumps. Lovely sunny day, barely a breath of wind. The flags hanging down by the poles largely. Top of the Hound Road stand at the far end from us. Here's Mitchell into Moores, who's driving this, but straight to Phil Salt at mid-wicket on the ground.
You'd imagine the ice cream sellers are a little happier today around the ground, because a couple of the evening matches have been
cold, absolutely
chilly cold.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to stop folks wanting a nice cold drink to go along with their cricket. And I'd be there enjoying it with them.
Here's Mitchell into Moores, another swing and a miss through to Joss Butler.
But a bit chilly for an ice cream. But today it's different, and those that have come along have had a good old time. Certainly in the Fox Road stand right now, there's one or two gentlemen taking their shirts off just to enjoy a little bit of late Sunday afternoon sunshine.
As we mentioned earlier, it's far from the biggest T20 crowd, although Dave did quite rightly point out he nipped out at towards the end of the first innings. And here's Mitchell to Moores, and that's crushed away through mid-wicket. That'll be 4. That's the shot Moores has been looking for throughout the course of the over, and eventually he's made contact with one, and that races away for the boundary that Notts needed, just to kind of get the work done for this over. Yes, when we're judging the size of the crowd, it's always slightly difficult, because of course we can't see the Radcliffe Road stand, which is pretty large. But, Dave mentioned that he'd been out and had a look at it. It was pretty packed today, so good crowd in the Radcliffe Road stand. But Fox Road we've certainly seen busier for a weekend T20 match. As in comes Mitchell again, and this is banged in short, and there's a hook which gets a top edge from Moores and races away down behind the wicket for 4. Consecutive boundaries, and Mitchell was looking none too impressed with what Moores did to that shorter delivery, and that gets Notts firmly back in the driving seat after the wicket for Samit Patel in the last over. 117 for 4. Moores quickly on to 9 from 7 balls, and here is Mitchell again, and this one is played into the ground by Moores, and there's no run. Dot ball at the end of the over, and we have 5 to come. 117 for 4. Notts need to get 29 more runs off those 30 balls to complete the victory over Lancashire here at Trent Bridge. And to guide you through on BBC Radio Nottingham, here is Dave Bracegirdle.
Fingers crossed, everybody. This is a hugely important few overs coming up here for Notts Outlaws. If they can beat Lancashire and get into a position at the end of the first half of these 14 group matches with a better than 50% win success, 4 wins and 3 defeats it'll be, if they can get over the line here. They'll fancy the chances of making it out of the group, as Livingston starts a new over with one that just scuttles along the ground under the bat of Montgomery and past Joss Butler. Didn't see a signal. I think Montgomery might just have got a little bit of bat on it, bottom edge, to take it past Butler for a single. 118 for 4, 28 required from 29. Livingston has only given away 12 runs so far from his 13 deliveries. Just bring in an extra fielder over into the offside for Moores, and then bowls down the leg side, and Tom Moores can swat it away behind square. There'll only be a single. It's a good return from the deep. That's Rob Jones out there. Yeah,
he's just getting some treatment actually.